Chapter 426. This idea just spun around in Ningcheng's mind, before Ningcheng suddenly understood. Wu Mao wanted to keep the spirit vein for himself. After he found the location of the spirit vein, not only did he not stop, he continued to lead the others forward. This showed that he had no intention of sharing the spirit vein with the others. What a cunning fellow, but no matter how cunning you are, you still have to drink the water I wash my feet with. What's wrong? Tan Yun carefully asked with a sound transmission. That Wu Mao has found the aura of the spirit vein, but this fellow is still pretending not to have found it. It would be the best if we wait for them to go far away, then we can just grab it and leave. Ningcheng did not hide anything from Tan Yun. Since he was cooperating with Tan Yun, there was no gap between the two sides. As such, Ningcheng did not intend to trap Tan Yun. But Ningcheng had not finished his words. When he suddenly stopped, he felt that something was wrong. Tan Yun felt pleasantly surprised and was just about to speak when she suddenly heard Ningcheng's voice. Senior apprentice Sister Tan, I feel something wrong. If I were him, after I discovered the aura of the spirit vein, even if I wanted to monopolize it. Ningcheng's words suddenly paused, and then he spoke in an affirmative tone. Senior apprentice Sister Dan, Wu Mao is a Tier 9 array formation Grand Master. Moreover, his cultivation is also far superior to mine. But after he discovered the aura of the spiritual vein, not only did he not check the surrounding situation, he did not even sweep out with his spiritual consciousness. This is not normal, huh? What's going on? Tan Yun asked with a trembling voice. She also felt that this matter had gone too smoothly. I understand. Ningcheng spoke in a cold tone. Previously, he was still thinking that the spirit-seeking array that Wu Mao had set up along the way could be simplified a little, because many of the two array flags could be replaced by one. Previously, he did not care about it. After all, he had too much confidence in his mysterious yellow formless. It was normal for others to be unable to compare to the things that he had deduced. At this moment, he finally realized that he had been too arrogant. Wu Mao's extra array flags were not placed for no reason, but could be used at any time, and could be arranged into a forbidden space array formation in the shortest possible time. With all these things linked together, how could Ningcheng not know that he and Tan Yun had already been discovered a long time ago? It's just that Wu Mao and the others had yet to make their move. The other party had only wanted to kill him and Tan Yun in one fell swoop the moment he snatched away the spiritual vein. There were many kinds of forbidden space array formations. With Wu Mao's array formation skills, he could easily lock down Tan Yun and use the talismans to escape. Senior apprentice Sister Dan, do you believe me? Ningcheng did not explain these things and directly asked. Tan Yun spoke up without hesitation. Sect Master Ning, if I did not believe in you, I would not have chosen to cooperate with you. Don't ask such questions again. Good. Then I ask Senior Apprentice Sister Dan to immediately leave this place quietly, and at the same time rush out of the shattered Canopy Mountains as fast as possible. 3 months later, we will meet at the Heavenly Tao Public Square. If I manage to obtain the spiritual vein, I promise that I will give 1/3 of it to Senior Apprentice Sister Dan. Tan Yun also did not speak any nonsense. Good, then let's do it this way. Tan Yun did not even ask for the reason, and directly agreed. Ningcheng felt very satisfied with Tan Yun's attitude. He then took out a jade bottle and handed it to Tan Yun before speaking. This is a gift for Senior Apprentice Sister Tan looking for me to cooperate with you. Senior Apprentice Sister Tan's cultivation is progressing too quickly, causing her foundation to be unstable. You really need this kind of thing. Spiritual Enhancement True Nectar. Tan Yun's spiritual consciousness immediately swept out and found what it was, causing her to speak up in surprise. She was just about to ask Ningcheng to purchase some of this. Because her foundation was truly unstable, she did not expect that Ningcheng would take the initiative to give it to her. Tan Yun also did not speak any nonsense, as she put away the spiritual enhancement True Nectar, and spoke a few words to be careful, before instantly retreating from the route that Ningcheng had pointed out. After Tan Yun left, Ningcheng did not immediately start. He still observed the array flags left behind by Wu Mao. Once surrounded by 4 crucible transformation cultivators, even if he did not die, he would definitely lose a layer of his skin. After a while, Ningcheng gave out a sigh. He found that he had not seen everything before. This array formation not only contained the forbidden space array formation that was not activated, but it also contained a series of traps. That is, there was also a destruction array formation that was concealed to the extreme. If not for his meticulousness, knowing that the other party had already discovered his tracks, he would not have been able to see these things. Once he went in to look for the spiritual vein, Wu Mao would definitely discover him immediately, causing the 4 people to besiege him. In that case, the spiritual seeking array formation arranged by Wu Mao would be completely destroyed, causing the location of the spiritual vein to disappear. That was too dangerous. No, Ningqing once again found that there were some problems with his thinking. Wu Mao had already discovered him. However, Wu Mao already wanted to kill him. So why did he still take off his pants to fart and arrange a destruction array formation? Even before he started cultivating, Ningqing was already very smart, not to mention that after he started cultivating, he even fused with the mysterious yellow origin. In just a short period of time, Ningqing was able to figure out what was going on. The spiritual aura that he had discovered a moment ago was fake. It was something that Wu Mao had deliberately let him feel. Moreover, Wu Mao had already discovered the real spiritual vein's aura. It was just that Ningqing had not discovered it. When Wu Mao started to attack him, all the spiritual seeking array formations arranged by Wu Mao would definitely disappear. Although the spiritual seeking array formations arranged by Wu Mao had already disappeared, Wu Mao had already known the location of the spiritual vein. After fighting with him, the spiritual seeking array formations would be destroyed, allowing Wu Mao to use the excuse that he was too tired and come back next time. Then the next time he would definitely come alone. In the end, Wu Mao still wanted to swallow the spiritual vein for himself. For Wu Mao, he was just a cannon fodder that he could use. Using him and Tan Yun to destroy the spiritual seeking array, he could then justifiably go back and rest. Sang Jieju and the others would also not be able to blame him. From the looks of it, Wu Mao was the only one who had discovered him and Tan Yun. This person was truly sinister, truly worthy to be called the Tian continent's premier law grandmaster. If he only had a clever brain, and was not an array formation grandmaster, then he would have definitely fallen into this person's scheme. Ningqing did not move, while his spiritual consciousness was tracking Wu Mao, while at the same time he was looking for the place behind him. He was sure that the place he had passed through had the aura of the spiritual vein's aura. At this time, Ningqing did not dare to continue to track Wu Mao. Of the 4 people in front of him, only Wu Mao knew that he was following them. If he did not move, then Wu Mao would not be able to find an excuse to make a move on him. If he moved, then Wu Mao would quickly take the opportunity to say that someone was following him, and immediately destroy the spiritual seeking array formations. Because Ningqing's spiritual consciousness was once again searching for the situation behind him, it became even clearer. In just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ningqing found a different place. The position of the spiritual leading array flags in this place was somewhat off. When arranging a spiritual leading array formation, even if a few spiritual leading array flags had a slight deviation, it would not affect the overall situation, because as long as the spiritual seeking array was arranged, the general direction would still be revealed. But Wu Mao was an array formation master. How could the spiritual leading array flags have any deviation? This is the place. Ningqing finally made up his mind. If this place was not the place, then he could only sigh that he was not as cunning as Wu Mao. This spiritual vein and him were not fated. Ningqing retreated all the way, while at the same time throwing down several array flags. When he arrived in front of the deviated spiritual leading array flag, he did not hesitate to throw down another spiritual leading array flag. The moment Ningqing threw down the spiritual leading array flag, a faintly discernible spiritual aura was immediately caught by Ningqing. Ningqing was ecstatic in his heart. He really had not guessed wrong. This place really was the place. It seems that Wu Mao still underestimated him. If he had not underestimated him, then this guy would have placed a few deviated spiritual leading array flags, and he would not have been able to do anything about it. If he wanted to use him as cannon fodder, then he would have to have the awareness of being cannon fodder. Ningqing was sure that as long as he took away this spiritual vein, Wu Mao would definitely not be able to escape the role of cannon fodder. The other 3 people were not fools, and could 100% guess the reason for this. Ning Cheng did not even think about it, as he put away the spiritual leading array flags, and using the earth escape technique, he immediately disappeared without a trace. Not good, we are being followed. Wu Mao felt that Ning Cheng had disappeared into the earth, causing him to feel anxious. Just as Ning Cheng thought, as long as Ning Cheng went to the fake spiritual aura, he would immediately expose Ning Cheng. And then the few of them would attack together. Not only would they kill Ning Cheng, but they would also be able to openly destroy all the traces that he had been looking for. But what made him angry was that this guy who had been following him had actually found the location of the real spiritual vein. How could he tolerate this? He had worked so hard, but in the end it was all a wedding dress for others. What? Wu Mao's words suddenly made the other 3 people shocked. The reason why Wu Mao was willing to cooperate with them was because the 3 of them had spent a lot of effort to find the general direction of the spiritual vein. If someone was following them, wouldn't it be like drawing water with a wicker basket? However, the 3 of them did not think much about it, as they followed Wu Mao, and with their fastest speed rushed to the place where Ning Cheng had disappeared. At the same time, the 3 of them also followed Wu Mao and disappeared into the ground. As Ning Cheng went deeper and deeper into the earth, the aura of the spiritual vein became more and more distinct. But Ning Cheng was actually very anxious in his heart. He could feel that Wu Mao and the others had already caught up. Chapter 427. Knowing that it was inevitable for the 3 people behind him to fight for the spiritual vein, Ning Cheng swallowed a form-changing pill. Even if the other party guessed who he was, he would still have to change his appearance and aura. Guessing and affirming were 2 different things. After taking the form-changing pill, Ning Cheng instantly changed his aura, while his appearance also changed to that of a bearded middle-aged man. As Ning Cheng went deeper and deeper, he could sense the huge concealment array formation underground more and more clearly. If not for Wu Mao's help, Ning Cheng felt that he would not have been able to find this place. Now that he had found the concealment array formation, it would not be difficult for Ning Cheng to enter the concealment array formation, to find the spiritual vein. If it was not difficult for him, then for Wu Mao, it would definitely be much easier. If it were any other cultivator, he would have immediately entered the concealment array formation to hide, but facing Wu Mao, this trick obviously would not work. Catcha! Ning Cheng directly brought out his Nirvana spear. Without even half a bit of superfluous movement, a single spear strike blasted a hole in the concealment array formation. Although this concealment array formation was powerful, it did not have any defensive capabilities. Not to mention Ning Cheng. Even an ordinary cultivator would be able to blast it open. After the natural concealment array formation was blasted open, the rich aura of the spiritual vein instantly overflowed, causing the few people behind Ning Cheng to perceive it at the same time. Originally, the 3 of them were following behind Wu Mao, but now that Ning Cheng broke the concealment array formation, the aura of the spiritual vein overflowed. No one was willing to follow behind Wu Mao, and immediately rushed towards Ning Cheng. When Ning Cheng blasted open the concealment array formation, he also saw a huge underground space, with a huge mountain-like spiritual vein in front of him. This was an incomplete spiritual vein, but this spiritual vein was exuding a strong spiritual aura, which made Ning Cheng sure that this was not a low-grade spiritual vein. However, the spiritual vein was broken into 3 pieces, one of which had disappeared, but there were still some vague traces of it. As for the other 2 pieces, one was a few hundred feet long, while the other was only a few dozen feet long. Ning Cheng did not hesitate for even half a moment, and directly threw out an array flag, encircling the hundreds of feet-long spiritual vein, while at the same time madly pulling it into his miniature world. Boom boom boom. After the spiritual vein was pulled, it gave out a violent sound, causing the entire shattered Song Mountain to tremble slightly. Buzz. Ning Cheng had not yet pulled away the spiritual vein, when a meteor-like killing light arrived in front of Ning Cheng's eyes. Ning Cheng brought out his Nirvana spear and blasted it against the killing light, resulting in a loud explosion. The huge impact force caused Ning Cheng to directly spit out a mouthful of blood, but even so, Ning Cheng did not take even half a step back. Swish swish. 4 figures appeared almost at the same time around Ningcheng, surrounding Ningcheng. But at this time, Ningcheng just happened to put away the several hundred feet long spiritual vein, leaving behind only the several dozen feet long spiritual vein in this underground space. Ningcheng did not touch this small spiritual vein. He knew that he did not have the opportunity to do so. He relied on the fact that he was one step ahead and was attacked by others. Furthermore, he was proficient in array formations. That was how he managed to get his hands on this several hundred feet long spirit vein. Now his task was not to find another section of the spirit vein, but to find a way to get there. As for being recognized by the other 4 people, Ningcheng knew that it was only a matter of time, and it was a definite thing. After all, there were not many array formation grandmasters in the Tian continent. Moreover, with the level of array formations that he had shown, there was no point in hiding it. Therefore, he did not even bother to hide his Nirvana spear. Even if the other party knew that it was Ningcheng who did it, they could not do anything about it. This kind of ownerless thing, whoever had the ability would be able to snatch it. In this place, if your strength was far stronger than your opponent, and you wanted to find trouble with the other party, even if you did not have a good reason, you could still create a reason out of nothing. If your strength was not enough to crush the other party, then even if you obtained conclusive evidence, you would still have to endure it. It was just like how the Great Change Island treated the Red Star Sword faction. Moreover, Ningcheng had taken the form-changing pill. As such, the other party could only make guesses and could not be sure that he was Ningcheng. Put that thing down, and then fuck off. The one who spoke was the long-bearded cultivator at the Crucible Transformation 6th level. His cultivation was also the highest in this place. Ningcheng noticed that Wu Mao had blocked his way out, and intentionally or unintentionally dropped some array flags. Sang Jieju and that short and thin Crucible Transformation 5th level cultivator were standing on top of the several dozen feet long spiritual vein. Although it looked like they were trying to intercept him, but Ningcheng was sure that once he escaped, Sang Jieju and that short and thin cultivator would immediately divide up the small section of the spiritual vein. Put that thing down, me and brother, you will definitely not do anything to you. Otherwise, it would only be a dead end for you. Wu Mao once again dropped a few array flags and spoke out in a cold voice. Dream on, even if it is just a small section of the spiritual vein, I will take it away. Ningcheng knew what Wu Mao was thinking, as he directly rushed towards the spiritual vein under the feet of Sang Jieju and that short and thin Crucible Transformation cultivator. Courting death. The long-bearded cultivator angrily called out. He did not expect Ningcheng to be so bold and greedy. Not only did he not take out the several hundred feet long spiritual vein, but he also wanted to take away the remaining small section of the spiritual vein. It was simply shameless to the extreme. Even Sang Jieju and that short and thin cultivator, who were standing on top of the small section of the spiritual vein, did not think that Ningcheng would continue to snatch the remaining small section of the spiritual vein. The 4 people, at this moment, were completely enraged and simultaneously attacked Ningcheng. Countless magical techniques shot towards Ningcheng, but the moment Ningcheng approached the spiritual vein, his figure suddenly faded. Not good, he wants to escape. The short and thin cultivator was the first to react and immediately shouted out. Bang! Even if Ningcheng's speed was fast, even if he deliberately snatched the remaining spiritual vein, and then suddenly used a teleportation to escape, he still ended up hit by several true essence lights on his back. Ningcheng once again spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, before disappearing without a trace. If Wu Mao was not a more powerful array formation grandmaster than him, then even if Ningcheng wanted to escape, he would not end up in such a sorry state. What Ningcheng feared the most was that he and the other 3 people would end up fighting, while Wu Mao arranged an array formation on the side. He did not care about the array formations arranged by other people, but if Wu Mao arranged an array formation, then he would not be able to ignore it. Therefore, Ningcheng would rather suffer a blow, but he still had to escape. What's more, he had already seen that while he was collecting the spiritual vein, Wu Mao had sealed off the surroundings with array flags. The only place he could escape from was to go back the same way he came. If he did not go back the way he came, then he would have to face the joint attacks of the several people. It turned out to be a teleportation. Fortunately, he is already seriously injured. As such, he could not have gone far. The short crucible transformation 5th level cultivator called out in shock. Not waiting for the short cultivator to finish his words, Wu Mao and the long-bearded cultivator had already started chasing after him. This is not a teleportation, rather he has a kind of teleportation-type magical weapon. It is most likely the refined twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves. As Sang Jieju spoke, she chopped off the remaining dozens of feet of spiritual vein. We'll split it in half. Sang Jieju finished speaking, as she put away the part of the spiritual vein that she had cut off. Palace Master Sang's methods are good. You unexpectedly did not chase after him. The short and thin crucible transformation cultivator gave a smile, and did not speak much to Sang Jieju, as he put away the rest of the spiritual vein. Sang Jieju showed a faint smile, but did not answer at all. She turned around and unexpectedly walked in another direction, disappearing without a trace in a blink of an eye. With Wu Mao gone, the simple entrapment array that he had temporarily arranged here was not enough to bind Sang Jieju. How could she not understand the words of the short cultivator? This person clearly knew that Ning Cheng did not use a teleportation, yet he said that it was a teleportation, and then said that Ning Cheng was seriously injured. Ning Cheng possessed a few hundred feet of spiritual vein, as well as the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves. Even if she was at the crucible transformation 6th level, she would still be able to catch up to him. If the three of them were to catch up, then the remaining several dozen feet of spiritual vein would all belong to this person. As for Wu Mao and the long-bearded cultivator, one was an array formation Grand Master, while the other was at the crucible transformation 6th level. The two of them, of course, were not willing to split the several dozen feet of spiritual vein between the four of them. As such, they wanted to catch up to Ning Cheng. However, for Sang Jieju, she was already very satisfied with the several dozen feet of spiritual vein. Moreover, the few people who came here to form a partnership, plus the cultivator who escaped, none of them were good to provoke. Wu Mao must have discovered the spiritual vein a long time ago, but still pretended not to know about it. If not for the fellow who rushed out midway, the three of them might have worked themselves to the bone, only to help Wu Mao with his wedding dress. Ning Cheng did not guess wrong. After he came out from the place where he had escaped, he once again found himself surrounded by an entrapment array. As long as this entrapment array could trap him for 3 breaths of time, the Wu Mao duo would be able to catch up. Fortunately, Ning Cheng had already prepared a backup plan when he escaped through the earth. As soon as he came out, he immediately threw out several array flags. Although there was indeed an entrapment array arranged by Wu Mao, there was also an explosion array that he had left behind. After throwing out several array flags, a loud explosion sound erupted. In just 2 breaths of time, a gap appeared in Wu Mao's entrapment array. With a gentle wave of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, Ning Cheng disappeared from the gap without a trace. At this time, Wu Mao and the other long-bearded cultivator at the crucible transformation 6th level had just come out. The two of them did not continue to chase after him. They knew that even if their cultivations were a bit higher, they would not be able to catch up to this person who possessed the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Unfortunately, the two of them, in order to chase after Ning Cheng, did not even share the remaining spiritual vein. They had truly become people who were drawing water with a wicker basket. Wu Mao's complexion turned extremely ugly to look at. Elder brother Yu, even if this person's attainments in array formations are not as good as mine, he is at least on the level of a Grand Master. When did our Tian continent have such a powerful array formation Grand Master? The long-bearded cultivator at the crucible transformation 6th level stared in the direction where Ning Cheng disappeared and spoke out in a cold voice. Elder brother Wu, if it were not for your selfishness, how could such a thing happen to us? Wu Mao knew that there was no point in quibbling about this kind of thing. The other party was absolutely clear about it. He cupped his fists towards the long-bearded cultivator and spoke in a respectful voice. Elder brother Yu, I was wrong in this matter. I am willing to take out a rank 8 entrapment array formation plate to apologize to Elder brother Yu. The long-bearded cultivator knew that this was the only way. Wu Mao was a top-notch array formation grandmaster. For him to treat him in such a manner was already giving him a lot of face. He pondered for a moment before speaking. I do not know who this person is. I only know that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect has a very young sect master by the name of Ningcheng. He is proficient in array formations, and his cultivation is not any weaker than crucible transformation cultivators. Moreover, he even has a long spear as his magical weapon. At the same time, I also know that the Tian continent has a rank 7 pill called the form-changing pill. Chapter 428. Ningcheng spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, but the fact was that his injuries were not very serious. If he had not undergone body forging, then those few true essence lights would have been enough to split him into several pieces. But now, after he forcibly withstood the attacks of several crucible transformation cultivators, he had also swallowed a few pills, causing his injuries to almost fully recover. After obtaining the spiritual vein, Ningcheng did not immediately go to the Heavenly Dao public square. He and Tianyin had an appointment to meet 3 months later. During these 3 months, he needed to cultivate in seclusion. For him, the best place to go into seclusion was, of course, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Without the transfer talisman, even if Ningcheng returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect from the Shattered Canopy Mountains, it would still take him at least 2 days. Ningcheng simply did not go to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to find out that Wu Mao did not continue to chase after him. He simply found a quiet place within the Shattered Canopy Mountains and entered the miniature world to cultivate. Using the spiritual vein to cultivate, Ningcheng immediately felt the benefits. The cultivation effect of the spiritual vein was far inferior to the crystal stones that Meng Jingxiu had given him, but compared to his spirit stones, he did not know how many times better it was. At least there was no longer a situation of insufficient absorption of spiritual qi. After experiencing the slow absorption of spiritual qi from spirit stones for more than a year, Ningcheng once again felt the carefree feeling of cultivation. The spirit qi in the spirit vein was easier to fuse with one's body and convert into quintessential essence. In just 2 months, Ningcheng broke through from the 3rd level of Sea Opening Realm to the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm. With the improvement of his cultivation, the speed at which he absorbed spiritual energy through his cultivation method became faster and faster. The spirit vein happened to provide such a huge supply and demand, which was far from what the spirit stones could compare with. The 3rd level of the Sea Opening Realm and the 4th level of the Sea Opening Realm were only separated by a single level, but in fact the difference in strength was like the difference between heaven and earth. One was at the early stage, while the other was at the middle stage. The difference between them was not something that could be explained clearly with just a few words. It turned out that when Ningcheng cast the Maximal Flame spiritual technique, he almost had to go all out. After casting this spiritual technique, his true essence and spiritual consciousness would dry up. But now Ningcheng believed that even if he used the Maximal Flame spiritual technique, he would still have the ability to escape. This was definitely different. One was that after using this divine ability, one could only pray for the opponent to be killed. One still had the ability to continue attacking, or choose to escape. It was not until this moment that Ningcheng finally considered the Maximal Flame spiritual technique as a true life-saving measure. 3 months later, Ningcheng finally stabilized his cultivation at the intermediate stage of the Sea Opening Realm, while the huge spiritual vein also automatically shrank by a large margin. However, Ningcheng did not feel much guilt towards this matter. It was not that he did not want to split 1/3 of the spiritual vein for Tianyin. It was because the more spirit veins were severed, the worse the effect of cultivation. Heavenly Law Public Square. Although the Yixing mainland's disciple recruitment had already ended, the Heavenly Dao Public Square was still very lively. Moreover, the Heavenly Dao Public Square was even more lively these past few days. Everyone was aware that the newly appointed sect master of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, Ningcheng, would soon have a showdown with Yinyang Dao sect's Rongjin in the Heavenly Dao Public Square's sect-surpassing censure. This was a duel of life and death. Even though this duel couldn't be compared to the duel between the Heaven Continent's Dao Masters, it was still considered a duel at the pinnacle. After all, one of them was a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator from the Yinyang Dao sect, while the other was a famous rising star. Even the sect master of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, Ningcheng, Even if the Rainbow Fall Sword sect did not invite the major academies to host Ningcheng's sect master ceremony, Ningcheng was indeed the current sect master of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Therefore, this duel was also related to the face of the two major academies, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Yin-Yang Dao sect. Whoever lost, the academy would not only lose a crucible transformation elder or a sect master, but it would also suffer an extreme loss of face. Ningcheng had just arrived at the Heavenly Dao public square, when his spiritual consciousness swept over a group of Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples. Sun Hanrui, Fu Xingnan, Ke Hongshui, Luo Zian, Liang Shi, Zhang Qian and the others were all present. Previously, when Ningcheng returned to the academy, there was only Zhang Qian. He did not see any of the other disciples. Now that these people had returned, presumably they knew that he and the few grand elders had taken back the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Therefore, they once again returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Although Ningcheng knew that they had no other choice, in Ningcheng's heart, Zhang Qian still had a higher status in the academy. Ningcheng was just about to go over and have a look, when he found another group of people blocking the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples. The number of people blocking the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples was a lot more than the number of Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples. Moreover, Ningcheng also knew one of them. It was Shen Buqian. Shen Buqian was a true inheriting disciple of the Yin-Yang Dao sect, and had initially met Ningcheng during the great meet of the academies. However, this person did not start, saying that he had fought 7 consecutive battles and needed to rest. As a result, once he rested, he did not come up again. Initially, this person was still at profound core 9th level, but now he had already reached the great circle of the soul essence realm. Compared to Ningcheng's rapid progress, his progress was not much. However, Ningcheng was aware of his own situation. He had the mysterious yellow bead, so it was normal for his cultivation speed to be several times faster than others. From this, it could be seen that this Shen Buqian was not a simple person. He was about to have a duel with the Yin-Yang Dao sect's Rongjin, so it was normal for the Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples to find trouble with the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples. What? Do you want to fight in the Heavenly Dao public square? Then let's try it out. Ke Hongshui was one of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's twin charming pair, so when the people from the Yin-Yang Dao sect came knocking on his door, he naturally could not back down. Looking at Zhang Qian's status in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was not low. The main reason was, of course, very simple. When the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was besieged by other factions, he chose to escape, while Zhang Qian stayed behind. Now that the sect master was about to fight against the Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Yin-Yang Dao sect in the Heavenly Dao public square, how could he weaken the reputation of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect in front of the Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples? Shen Buqian spoke with disdain. You are just a cultivator in the soul sculpting realm, yet you still have the nerve to challenge me. A cultivator in the soul essence realm. Don't you have any face? Luo Zian could not help but speak up from the side. Indeed shameless, a person with high cultivation challenging someone with low cultivation. I heard that it was a crucible transformation cultivator challenging someone in the sea opening realm. The Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples immediately became angry. Luo Zian was obviously ridiculing Yin-Yang Dao sect's elder Rongjin for challenging Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Ningcheng. Several disciples immediately brought out their magical weapons, as a group fight was about to break out. Although the Heavenly Dao public square prohibited fighting, but once the hatred between the two factions escalated, this kind of group fight would be very difficult to resolve. Scram! A cold snort rang out and the faces of the disciples from the Yin-Yang Dao sect turned red as they retreated. Just this shout alone nearly caused more than 10 Yin-Yang Dao's disciples to vomit blood. If Ningcheng wanted to, then these more than a dozen disciples would have already spat out a mouthful of blood. Such awe-inspiring prestige. A sect master actually dares to clash with some low-leveled disciples. I can finally see the arrogance of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. It turns out that they can only be arrogant towards these low-leveled disciples. On hearing this voice, Ningcheng realized that this was Ji Xiao of the Yin-Yang Dao sect, with the cultivation of Crucible Transformation 4th level. You get lost too. Otherwise, I'll challenge you right now. In the future, Whoever dares to lay their hands on my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's disciples, I, Ning Cheng, will definitely kill them. Ning Cheng's imposing aura suddenly rose up, as it rolled up a wall of true essence out of thin air. Ji Xiu was so angry that his face turned ashen, but he didn't dare to stay. He estimated that he might not be a match for Ning Cheng. He had seen Ning Cheng kill Tang Gongxi with his own eyes. If he wanted to kill Ning Cheng, he would have to at least advance to the Crucible Transformation 7th level. A final struggle before death. I, Ji Xiu, am a Crucible Transformation Elder of the Yin Yang Dao sect. Why would I care about a dead person? Alas, once the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Sect Master Rui passed away, the position of Sect Master would have to change constantly. Ji Xiu flaunted his words, but could only dejectedly lead a group of Yin Yang Dao sect's disciples away. He believed that Ning Cheng would not be able to escape from the palms of his senior apprentice brother Rong Jin. In the depths of his heart, he truly believed that Ning Cheng would die. Ning Cheng looked at Ji Xiu leading the Yin Yang Dao sect's disciples away, but did not continue to ridicule him. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect had suffered a disastrous decline. If he, as the sect master, did not show a bit of strength, then the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would not be able to go out in the future. The disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect felt their blood boiling. Although the cultivation of the new sect master was not at the Crucible Transformation realm, his words were still domineering. These kind of words contained a lot of momentum, and even scared away a Crucible Transformation elder from the Yin Yang Dao sect. As the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's twin lovebirds, Ke Hongshui and Luo Xian were filled with emotions in their hearts. When Ning Cheng first joined the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, they were still standing in front of Ning Cheng, choosing to follow him. But now they only had the cultivation of soul sculpting realm, while Ning Cheng was already their sect master. The affairs of the world were constantly changing, and no one knew what would happen tomorrow. Greetings, sect master. Several disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect happily came over to greet Ning Cheng. Even Fu Xingnan, who had a grudge against Ning Cheng, came over to greet him. As for what she was thinking in her heart, no one knew. Fu Xingnan had plotted against Ning Cheng. If Ning Cheng was not currently the sect master, he would have really wanted to cripple this woman. However, he was now the sect master, and also a friend of Fu Xiaomei. If he did not have this much magnanimity, then it would only make people laugh at him. Although he did not know why Fu Shengnan wanted to come here, he could only pretend that he did not see her. Ke Hongshui spoke up in shame. The sect has undergone a huge change, causing the few of us to have no choice but to escape. I ask sect master to punish us. Ning Qing did not expect that Ke Hongshui would speak out about this matter in an open and above-board manner, causing him to have a good impression of him in his heart. This matter cannot be blamed on you. Some of the other academies were hiding outside of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. With your cultivation in the soul sculpting realm, if you did not leave, I'm afraid that your life would have been in danger. It's good that you are able to come back. In the future you must work hard in your cultivation and contribute some of your strength to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Yes, sect master. This time several disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect bowed and replied at the same time. Ning Qing knew that they had come here to cheer for him. As such, he did not ask much about it. He just looked at Sun Hanrui and spoke with a smile. Junior apprentice sister Hanrui, did junior apprentice sister Kursen come back? Did she come with you? Sun Hanrui's complexion changed slightly, causing Ning Qing to suddenly have a bad feeling in his heart, as he spoke to the rest of the people. You can go to the sect surpassing censure to cheer for me. Junior apprentice sister Hanrui and I have something to take care of, but we will be back soon. Speak, what happened to Liang Kursen? Ning Qing brought Sun Hanrui to a rest stop, before he immediately asked. Sun Hanrui quickly replied, Sect Master. Junior apprentice sister Hanrui, just call me senior apprentice brother Ning. I will not be the sect master for long. Ning Qing knew that it was impossible for him to stay in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect as the sect master. As such, he had no other choice but to take over the position of the sect master. Yes, senior apprentice brother, junior apprentice sister Kursen was taken to the mirage-gazing island. Sun Hanrui's words had not yet finished, when Ning Qing knew that it definitely had something to do with the 9-colored mirage tree. Chapter 429. When did this happen? Ning Cheng had some suspicions that Liang Curson might have been implicated by him. More than 3 months ago, when Curson and I were still outside, we had just received the news that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was attacked, when some people stopped us and took away Curson. Moreover, they also said that they were going to the Mirage Gazing Island. Sun Hanrui spoke in a tone filled with worry. Ning Cheng was now sure that the Mirage Gazing Island taking away Liang Curson had something to do with him. Otherwise it would have been impossible for them to leave Sun Hanrui behind. Leaving behind Sun Hanrui, it should be because she knew that he had a good relationship with Liang Curson and Sun Hanrui. He had captured one and kept the other to deliver a letter to him. He had been missing for such a long time, yet the Mirage Gazing Island only remembered to look for him. It should be that when he passed through the Mirage Gazing Island, someone recognized him. However, Ning Cheng also believed that at the time when the Mirage Gazing Island had captured Liang Curson, he had not yet displayed his invincible might in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Otherwise the Mirage Gazing Island would not have acted so unscrupulously. Let's go to the sect surpassing censure. That Rong Jin might already be a bit anxious waiting for us. Ning Cheng stood up. Senior apprentice brother, that junior apprentice sister Curson? Sun Hanrui asked in a somewhat worried voice. Ning Cheng sneered. Since the Mirage Gazing Island has invited me with such hospitality, how can I let them down? After the matters here are over, I will go to the Mirage Gazing Island. By the time Ning Cheng and Sun Hanrui arrived at the sect surpassing censure, it was already crowded with cultivators. The surpassing gate was actually a challenge stage. Unlike other challenge stages, this challenge stage only had one entrance. This entrance was like a door, which was why it was called the surpassing gate. Sect Master Ning is here. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived, the surrounding people immediately started talking about him. Seeing Rong Jin already standing on the battle ring, Ning Cheng knew that this person had been here for a while. I thought that Sect Master Ning was just trying to find an excuse, but I didn't expect him to have a bit of courage. It seems that it is barely worth it for me to make a move. Ning Cheng had just arrived when Rong Jin, who was standing on the battle ring, ridiculed him. His voice was not loud, but the entire Heavenly Dao public square could clearly hear his voice. Ning Cheng did not speak any nonsense with Rong Jin this time. When he was at the early stage Sea Opening Realm, he had not put Rong Jin in his eyes. Now that he was at the middle stage Sea Opening Realm, how could he be afraid of a Rong Jin? Sect Master Ning's progress is truly fast. 3 months ago, I heard that you were only at the 3rd level of Sea Opening. I didn't expect that you would reach the intermediate stages of Sea Opening in just 3 months. A faint voice arrived. Ning Cheng turned around and saw the long-bearded cultivator. Ning Cheng glanced at the long-bearded cultivator and spoke in a casual manner. No matter who you are, don't affect my mood. Otherwise, after I kill Rong Jin, I'll challenge you next. Humph. The long-bearded cultivator gave a cold snort and no longer paid any attention to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wanted to challenge Rong Jin, but he only came to know about it after returning from the Shattered Canopy Mountains. This made him feel very helpless. Even if Ning Cheng was more powerful, in the face of Rong Jin, he would not have even half a chance of survival. Since Rong Jin killed Ning Cheng, then everything would belong to Rong Jin. He had been busy for many days, but it was destined to be in vain. What made Ning Cheng puzzled was that he did not see the array formation Grand Master Wu Mao. Ning Cheng did not think too much about it, as he flew over and landed on the sect surpassing censure's battle ring. As Ning Cheng landed on the battle ring, the entrance to the battling surpassing sect's battle ring was immediately sealed by an array formation. At this time, the people outside could only see the fight between Ning Cheng and Rong Jin. However, they could not intervene in it. As long as the entrance to the sect surpassing battle ring was closed, it meant that only one person could come down from the sect surpassing battle ring. As soon as Ning Cheng stepped onto the battle ring, the sarcasm on Rong Jin's face instantly disappeared. He stretched out his hand, and a silver long sword appeared suspended in his hand. However, he did not grasp it. I use a sword. This sword is called Buried Soul. As Rong Jin's voice fell, the silver long sword in his hand disappeared. The moment the silver long sword disappeared, Ningqing felt as if he had left the battle ring and was now in a place that did not belong to him. This was not the spatial stagnation caused by true essence, but it made Ningqing feel as if he had lost any place to hide. At this moment, Ningqing did not know how to block this terrifying feeling. It seemed that no matter where he went, he would still be in a state of being a fish on someone's chopping block. This piece of heaven and earth had already fallen under Rongjin's control. An aura of death enveloped him, causing Ningqing to feel horrified in his heart. He quickly brought out his nirvana spear, which transformed into a cluster of cold ice spear shadows. Kaka. Continuous sounds of true essence clashing against each other emerged, causing Ningqing's heart to sink. His nirvana spear played a very small role in this fight. Poof! Blood splashed out, causing Ningqing's chest to turn cold. It was not until Rongjin's silver sword cut into Ningqing's flesh and blood, injuring his sternum, that Ningqing finally caught a glimpse of the shadow of his opponent's silver sword. The nirvana spear once again shot out. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out. This time, Ningqing truly found the trace of Rongjin's buried soul sword. Ningqing flew back upside down, blood spilling over his body onto the ground. He flew a few dozen feet away before hitting the battle ring's restriction and falling down. The spatial stagnation around him disappeared, and the feeling of being a fish on someone else's chopping block also disappeared at this moment. Ningqing sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew that this was not because his cultivation was not as good as Rongjin's, but because he had never seen such a strange way of fighting. Rongjin's face remained calm, and did not continue to chase after Ningqing. In his eyes, as long as Ningqing stepped onto this battle ring, he was already a dead man. No wonder you dared to accept my challenge. It turns out that you have already reached the rank 5 imperial body in body forging in the sifting orchid star. But even so, you still have to die. Rongjin took a step forward as he spoke, and the silver-buried soul sword in his hand once again disappeared. His sword could have directly split Ningqing in two. Unfortunately, because Ningqing was not a low-leveled body forging cultivator, it caused him to lose this opportunity. Ningqing did not even have time to catch his breath when the spatial stagnation around him once again turned sluggish. He once again felt as if he was not in his own territory. This time, not only did he have this kind of feeling, he also felt that the spatial stagnation around him also began to collapse. Spiritual technique? Ningqing immediately thought of his maximal flame spiritual technique. The maximal flame spiritual technique also used the star river to cause the surrounding spatial collapse. However, it was a false collapse. Rongjin was just a trivial crucible transformation cultivator. As such, he definitely could not master this spiritual technique. Ningqing instantly understood this matter, as he crazily compressed his spiritual consciousness to a range of 3 meters around him. In just a breath, Ningqing figured out the reason. It was not that Rongjin's cultivation could suppress him to the point that he could not move, but the opposite party had a magical skill similar to his maximal flame spiritual technique, which could create a false feeling in him. This kind of magical skill made it impossible for him to find any flaws in it. It was not until Rongjin's buried soul sword pierced his body that a trace of it appeared. After understanding this reason, Ningqing did not hesitate to shoot out with his spear. The reason why there was no trace was because he did not have any powerful means. Once his means were powerful enough to make the opposite party hesitate, the opposite party's magical skill would definitely reveal a trace. As long as there was a trace, his 36 cosmic true devil axes would be able to trap the opposite party. The surrounding spatial stagnation still caused Ningqing's nirvana spear to slow down in this spatial space. Even the mysterious trajectory of the spear intent was blocked. Even if the trajectory of Ningqing's spear intent was hindered and slowed down, Rongjin could not completely erase the trace of Ningqing's spear. The trace of the buried soul sword finally revealed itself, causing the space around Ningqing to finally have a trace of air flow. When Ningqing felt that the air in this spatial space belonged to him, he also felt the buried soul sword that had disappeared without a trace. The buried soul sword had already reached his waist, and had even cut through his clothes. Poof! Another blood splashed out, but this time Ningqing's injuries were much lighter than the last time. Just as the buried soul sword was about to cut him in half, He immediately turned around, while simultaneously finding Rongjin's advantage. Rongjin's magical skill allowed him to control everything around him, giving him an illusion. In this illusion, the opposite party could kill him at any time. Ningqing managed to escape twice in a row, causing Rongjin to frown. He also found that Ningqing's long spear had also disappeared. Previously, the trajectory of the spear was under his control, but at this time, the powerful spear intent made it impossible for him to catch it. Rongjin's complexion changed. The buried soul sword turned into a silver light. These silver lights almost filled the entire battle ring. The cultivators watching from below the battle ring could only see the silver lights one after another. In a distant corner of the Heavenly Dao public square, a blue-robed man saw the scene on the battle ring and spoke out in amazement. Did Rongjin manage to pry into a domain? This is not a domain but a sword technique that simulates a domain. This kind of sword technique is very terrifying. With Rongjin's cultivation, he is still unable to pry into a domain. Not to mention him. Even in the entire Yixing mainland, I don't know who would be able to pry into this kind of thing. A black-robed old man beside him shook his head and spoke. Elder brother Mu, this Ningqing is able to block such a terrifying sword technique. Moreover, he is also a body-forging cultivator. If he does not fall in this fight, then no one would be able to compare to him in the future. The blue-robed man stared at Ningqing with a sharp glint in his eyes. The black-robed old man spoke in a dignified tone. Elder brother Xiao seems to have made a mistake this time. I am sure that Rongjin will lose this time. Rongjin has already lost the best opportunity to kill Ningqing. At present he can only wait for Ningqing to kill him. If Ningqing can adapt to this sword technique that simulates a domain, then it would be of great help to him in the future. The blue-robed man gave a sigh. What elder brother Mu said is right. Ningqing's spear intent. Even if I am separated by such a long distance, I would still feel fear in my heart. I was thinking, if Ningqing advanced to the crucible transformation realm, would I still be his opponent? Although the blue-robed man and the black-robed old man were separated by such a long distance, when they saw Ningqing's spear intent, they still felt fear in their hearts. However, for the ordinary cultivators watching from the front of the battle ring, they did not feel fear in their hearts. The Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples and some of the gloating cultivators were filled with joy. Ningqing had suffered 2 consecutive blood spatters, and it did not look light at all. In their view, the entire battle ring was filled with the shadows of Rongjin's buried soul sword. How could Ningqing still have a chance to survive? However, Rongjin's heart turned cold. Even if the entire battle ring was filled with his silver sword light, he still could not stop the fear in his heart. In the eyes of others, the entire battle ring was filled with silver sword lights, but in his eyes, there was only the spear intent that no matter how many silver sword lights there were, they would not be able to block. Chapter 430. An ice-cold killing intent shrouded him, causing Rongjin to feel extreme fear. Do not look at him as a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator. Even if he were to fight against a Crucible Transformation 9th level cultivator, he could easily kill the other party by relying on his sword skills that could control the surrounding space. But now that he was fighting against Ningqing, a mere intermediate stage sea-opening realm cultivator, this kind of killing move unexpectedly failed. The killing intent of the long spear was getting stronger and stronger, but Rongjin simply could not catch it, let alone know how to block this killing intent that made him feel fear. Poof! The long spear pierced through Rongjin's neck, bringing out a fountain of blood, while Rongjin frantically retreated. A faintly discernible axe had unknowingly appeared behind him. Rongjin felt as if he had sent himself to the axe, once again splashing out a fountain of blood. His whole body turned into 2 pieces, falling onto the battle ring. Ningqing sighed, grabbed Rongjin's things, while putting away his own long spear and axe. He had used 24 axes to kill Tangongxi, but he only used 1 axe to kill Rongjin. It was not that Rongjin was not as good as Tangongxi, but that he was much stronger than before. More importantly, Rongjin had too much faith in his sword skills that could control space. After he occupied the space controlled by Rongjin's fate was already doomed. The silver light of the sect's surpassing battle ring dissipated, revealing Rongjin's corpse on the battle ring. apart from Ning Cheng standing there. Ning Cheng swept his eyes over the silent crowd of cultivators, before slowly walking down the battle ring. He knew that after killing Tang Gongxi last time and Rong Jin this time, he had already established prestige for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Now even if Rui Baishan was not here, no one would dare to underestimate his Rainbow Fall Sword sect. It was not until this time that the sect's surpassing battle ring started to become noisy. The battle ring was obviously covered with silver sword lights. It was reasonable to say that Ning Cheng should have died, but the final result was Rong Jin's death. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Sect Master Ning. Cheers erupted, coming from the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. The disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, at this moment, completely forgot about the disaster that almost destroyed their sect, and cheered in unison. Congratulations, Sect Master. Ke Hongshui was the first to come forward. Go back and work hard in your cultivation. Also, tell Sect Master Tantai that he does not have to worry about me. Ning Cheng nodded towards the disciples from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and spoke. He knew that Ke Hongshui and the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect must have come under the instructions of Tantai Fei. The reason why Tantai Fei didn't come was because he was afraid that he would lose. If he lost, and Tantai Fei did not come, then the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would still have a trace of face. If Tantai Fei just watched him lose, and did not come to the stage to challenge Rong Jin, then the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would truly be finished. Yes, Sovereign. Several people from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect immediately responded in a respectful manner. Compared to the disciples from the Yin Yang Dao sect who couldn't believe it, the prestige of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had greatly increased. Congratulations, Sect Master Ning. A charming voice arrived, and Ning Cheng immediately saw Sang Jieju. Luo Xian looked at the charming face of Sang Jieju, and her eyes flashed with a trace of disdain, before she bowed to Ning Cheng and spoke. Headmaster, we will be going back first. If Big Sister Luofei comes out of seclusion, I will definitely tell her about Sect Master's display of his godly might. Ning Cheng looked at Luo Xian, and spoke in a speechless manner. You can go back first, don't worry about me. He had roamed around the Yixing mainland for so long. How could he not understand the meaning behind Luo Xian's words? It was to remind him that Ji Luofei was still waiting for him. However, this girl was too much of a busybody. Even if his seniority in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was not as old as Luo Xian, he was still a headmaster. Sang Jieju did not know who Luofei was. However, she could also make out a few things from her words, causing her to look at Luo Xian meaningfully. This Luo Xian was in no way inferior to the floating snow palaces in Kongchan. Sect Master Ning, I don't know if we can find a place to sit down. I would like to invite Sect Master Ning to drink a cup of spiritual tea. Sang Jieju's tone turned even more pleasant to listen to. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, and found that the long-bearded crucible transformation cultivator had already disappeared. Several crucible transformation cultivators from the other academies, on seeing Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness sweep over, quickly came up to greet Ning Cheng. They did not dare to openly congratulate Ning Cheng like Sang Jieju did. Rather, they just wanted to get acquainted with Ning Cheng. Sect Master Ning truly lives up to his reputation. I guess that a lot of people would be able to shut their mouths after this showdown. Just as Ning Cheng and some of the crucible transformation cultivators came up to greet him, Tan Yun's voice arrived. Ning Cheng did not want to talk much with Sang Jieju. As he looked at Sang Jieju apologetically and spoke, Palace Master Sang, because I helped Senior Apprentice Sister Tan find the evidence. Senior Apprentice Sister Tan always wanted to invite me to drink a cup of spiritual tea alone. So this time. Alright, I also wanted to chat with Junior Apprentice Sister Tan Yun. Why don't we all go together? Sang Jieju spoke with joy, as if she did not know that he was a third wheel. Sang Jieju was a generation older than Tan Yun, yet she addressed Tan Yun as Junior Apprentice Sister. Moreover, she even spoke in such a manner, causing Ning Cheng to be unable to refuse. He then spoke up. Alright, let's go to the Starflower rest stop in front. Sect Master Ning, this time you are a bit too kind. A few 100 feet of spiritual vein, yet you took it all by yourself. You did not even leave any soup for us. After the three people entered the booth, Sang Jieju bluntly spoke with a smile. Tanyan also felt surprised in her heart. She did not know whether Ningcheng had succeeded or not. However, from Sang Jieju's words, she understood that Ningcheng not only succeeded, but also took away the entire spiritual vein by himself. After understanding this, she felt overjoyed in her heart. Since Ningcheng invited her to sit down, it showed that he did not have any intention of embezzling it. Ningcheng unhurriedly poured a cup of spiritual tea for Sang Jieju and Tan Yun, before speaking in a calm voice. If it was Wu Mao who said that I was not kind, then we could still talk about it. However, Palace Master Sang's words are somewhat ungrateful. Since everyone already knew that he was the one who did it, he also did not try to hide it. Moreover, this time he had established his prestige in the Heavenly Dao Public Square's sex-surpassing censure. Even if it was Wu Mao, he would not dare to do anything to him. Previously, that long-bearded cultivator, after seeing him kill Rong Jin, had left with his tail between his legs. Sang Jieju understood the meaning behind Ningcheng's words. That is, Ningcheng was very clear that she and that short crucible transformation cultivator had split the rest of the spiritual vein. It was reasonable to say that she had also used Ningcheng to transfer away Wu Mao and that long-bearded cultivator. However, Ningcheng's words were not wrong. She had indeed obtained some benefits because of Ningcheng's appearance. I was just casually talking about it. Sect Master Ning does not need to take it to heart. I also came here for another important matter. Sang Jieju's face did not even change. Oh, Palace Master Sang, please instruct me. Because of his relationship with the Severing Emotions Dao sect, Ningcheng did not have much of a favorable impression towards the Floating Snow Palace. Sang Jieju's smile faded, before she spoke up in a very serious tone. I do not dare to instruct you, Sect Master Ning. I only brought up an old matter this time. A few years ago, I went to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect for the sake of my disciple, Yin Kongchan. I think that Sect Master Ning should have already heard about it. Moreover, Sect Master Ning and Kongchan were also in a life-and-death situation, but now. Sang Jieju's words had not yet finished when Ningcheng interrupted her. I already have a wife. Junior apprentice sister Yin Kongchan is so outstanding that she would definitely be able to find someone better than me. Palace Master Sang does not need to mention this matter again. Sect Master Ning, times have changed. Moreover, this time I came here for both Kongchan and Yinji. Since we are cultivating, what does it matter if we have one or two more Dao companions? Sang Jieju did not expect that Ningcheng would directly reject her, so she simply brought up Yinji. Regarding the matter of Yinji liking Ningcheng, she had already heard it from Yin Kongchan. Palace Master Sang, you said that you came here. Does junior apprentice sister Yinji know about it? Ningcheng could not help but ask. Sang Jieju shook her head. She has already gone into seclusion to attack the soul sculpting realm. She does not know about it, I think. Palace Master Sang, please do not mention this matter again. I also hope that you do not disturb junior apprentice Sister Yan's cultivation, let alone have any ideas about her. Although junior apprentice Sister Yanji is a disciple of your Floating Snow Palace, she is also my friend. If there is any danger, then I, Ningcheng, will be the first to stand up for her. Ningcheng's words contained a bit of a threat. He was sure that Sang Jieju wanted to use Yanji, and then find some benefits for Yin Kongchan. Sang Jieju's complexion immediately changed. She was also a palace master of the Floating Snow Palace. For Ningcheng to dare to threaten her in such a manner, it made her feel very uncomfortable in her heart. She spoke up in a cold voice. The disciples of my Floating Snow Palace do not need others to worry about them. I will not disturb Sect Master Ning's wonderful time. After saying that, Sang Jieju suddenly stood up and took a few steps out of the door. What does she mean? Tanyan asked as she looked at Ningcheng in doubt. Ningcheng looked at the door through which Sang Jieju disappeared and gave a faint smile. This woman is very calculating. Knowing that I obtained a few 100 feet long spiritual vein, she wanted to send her disciple over to use my spiritual vein. I heard that the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace originated from the same vein. Presumably they are also the same kind of trash. Sang Jieju, who had just arrived at the door of the rest stop, heard those words, causing her face to turn even more livid with anger. She understood that Ning Cheng had deliberately passed those words to her ears. He was ridiculing her for coming here to sell out her female disciple. The women of her floating snow palace were as pure as ice and as pure as jade. How could Su Anjin's people compare to them? Ning Cheng, of course, deliberately angered Sang Jieju. This woman truly did not know contentment and had thick skin. In the past, when she came to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, it was also because she wanted to use his things. Ning Cheng was sure that even if he had agreed in the past, even if he gave the things to the floating snow palace, Ying Kongchan would not have become his Dao companion. She had the same idea as Su Anjin when she told him about Suing Day. It was all fake. This time was also the same, except that this time she came here for the spiritual vein. Moreover, she wanted to use Yin Ji to help Ying Kongchan. It would have been a strange thing if Ning Cheng showed a good face to her. If one said that Sang Jieju wanted Yin Ji and Ying Kongchan to become his Dao companions at the same time, only an idiot would believe such a thing. Senior apprentice Sister Tan, this is the part you deserve. Ning Cheng was a man of his words. After activating the restrictions once again, he took out a ring and gave it to Tan Yun. He had already divided the spiritual vein. Tan Yun quickly spoke up. I only need 1/10 of it. I did not put in much effort. Moreover, you already got too much. Ning Cheng stood up and spoke. No need, how much is what I said. I will have to say my goodbyes. I hope to see you again. Haha, Sect Master Ning, I finally found you this time. You don't have to be in such a hurry to leave. Don't run around this time, lest I feel uncomfortable looking for you. A voice interrupted Tan Yun's words, while a gray-robed man stood at the entrance of the booth. Ning Cheng's expression did not change, but a murderous intent surged in his heart. This person dared to openly break his shielding restriction, rudely breaking into other people's private conversation, and even spoke in such an arrogant manner. Chapter 431. End Crucible Transformation 9th level. No, it's not the cultivation of Crucible Transformation realm. This gray-robed man seems to have a higher cultivation than Crucible Transformation realm. When Ning Cheng could not sense the exact cultivation of the opposite party, his heart sank slightly. He finally understood why the opposite party was so fearless. This strength could completely crush him. You have quite a temper, but it seems that you are quite forgetful. To think that you don't even remember that we have met before. Ning Cheng's killing intent surged out, and this gray-robed man immediately felt it, as he spoke out in a sarcastic tone. Ning Cheng was moved in his heart. He immediately remembered who this person was. Wasn't he the man who fought with Su Anjin in the sky above the Yixing Ocean? In that case, the two of them had really met before. The gray-robed man stared at Ning Cheng and sneered. No wonder after Su Anjin remembered who you were. She did not even care about me, and even looked for you everywhere. From the words of this gray-robed man, Ning Cheng knew that he had deceived Su Anjin. But soon Su Anjin remembered who he was, and immediately looked for him everywhere. Thinking that Su Anjin was looking for him, Ning Cheng felt his heart tremble. He was sure that he was not Su Anjin's opponent. What made him puzzled was that since Su Anjin was looking for him, why couldn't she find him? According to reason, Su Anjin could easily catch up to him. Ning Cheng then spoke to Tan Yun on the side. Senior apprentice Sister Tan, you can leave first. I have something to take care of. Tan Yun looked at the gray-robed man, and felt her heart trembling. She knew that she would not be of any use in this place. She quickly said to Ning Cheng, then I will take my leave first. I owe you a favor. After Tan Yun left, the gray-robed man spoke up in a calm voice. Come with me. Don't make me do anything here. Even if this is the Heavenly Dao Public Square, I can still restrain you in the shortest possible time. Ning Cheng completely calmed down. In the face of this kind of expert, any kind of reasoning would be useless. There were only two ways to deal with this kind of person. One was tactics and the other was strength. It has nothing to do with you, but I want to ask you something. Since Su Anjin wanted to chase after me, why couldn't she catch up to me? Ning Cheng spoke out in a deep voice. He was ready to slip away at any time. There is no harm in telling you. She was stopped by Rui Baishan. I would like to thank you for your appearance. If not for your sudden appearance, then Su Anjin would have chased after you. Rui Baishan really would not have been able to force her out. Do you think I should thank you or not? The gray-robed man walked to the table and sat down. He picked up the spiritual teapot on the table and drank a few mouthfuls from the pot. Papa, what a trashy spirit tea. I heard that you're very rich, but you actually drink this kind of trash spirit tea. After listening to the words of the gray-robed man, Ningqing instantly understood what was going on. While Su Anjin and this gray-robed man were fighting, Rui Baishan was unexpectedly able to silently hide on the side. Rui Baishan definitely wanted to wait for the two of them to mutually injure each other before making his move. However, Ningqing did not expect that his appearance would cause Rui Baishan to fall short of success. Rui Baishan, in order to not let Su Anjin kill him, took the initiative to appear and stop Su Anjin. Because of Rui Baishan's appearance, his idea of being a fisherman fell through. I have no enmity with you, so why do you want me to follow you? Ningqing calmed down. He once again owed Rui Baishan a favor. However, he was not very worried about Rui Baishan. Although Su Anjin was insidious and deceitful, wanting to kill Rui Baishan was something impossible. The gray-robed man stood up and spoke. I thought about it afterwards. For a person like Su Anjin to chase after a puny sea-opening realm cultivator like you, presumably you have some kind of secret on you. I specifically came back to ask around, and found out that you are Ningqing. You have the 9-colored mirage tree and mirage stones on you, as well as a pile of spiritual enhancement true nectar. Maybe you even have the geocentric 9 essence. Originally, if you had given me those things, I could have let you go once. Unfortunately, I want to find Su Anjin to exchange for something. As such, I must bring you to Su Anjin. Where is Sect Master Rui? Ningqing knew that since things had already reached this point, then even if he became anxious, it would not be of any use. I'm sorry, but I do not know where Rui Baishan is. If you still do not move, then do not blame me for being impolite. The gray-robed man spoke as he raised his hand to grab Ningqing. Ningqing did not move but spoke up. Answer one more question of mine, and I can leave with you. Ask away. The gray-robed man, on hearing Ningqing's words, retracted his hand. Is my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword on you? Moreover, who are the people who wanted to deal with my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Ningqing stared at the gray-robed man's eyes and asked. The yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword sect was the symbol of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. As such, the importance of this sword to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect could be imagined. Without this sword, even if the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's strength was restored to its original state, it would still lose a bit of its reputation. Ningqing thought about it. If the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword was not on the opposite party, then he would immediately make his move. He was sure that the Heavenly Dao Public Square's Dao Master would definitely come out to help. If the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword was truly on him, then he would have to leave together with this gray-robed man no matter what. If they did not leave together, then even if a fight broke out, with the help of the Heavenly Dao Public Square's Dao Master, he would be able to kill this gray-robed man, and the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword would not be able to return to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. That's right, the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword is on me. As for who else wanted to deal with the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, I do not know. As the gray-robed man spoke, he showed impatience. Ningqing calmly spoke up. Then lead the way, I'll go with you. Good. No wonder Rui Baishan took a fancy to you, and even chose you as his successor. You really do have a bit of courage. The gray-robed man glanced at Ningqing and spoke with appreciation. Ningqing felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. It was as if he was talking to an extremely poisonous snake. That person's cultivation is not below yours or mine. Even I cannot see through his strength. A black-robed old man stared at Ningqing and the gray-robed man disappearing from the Heavenly Dao Public Square, and spoke up in a deep voice. The green-robed man beside him spoke up in an affirmative tone. Ningqing seems to have been coerced by this person to leave. Although Ningqing is good, but compared to this person he is still a bit worse. Ningqing is now a sect master. Do you want to go and have a look? Moreover, I always feel that this person is somewhat familiar. That's exactly what I was thinking. The black-robed old man finished speaking, and immediately escaped into the air. The green-robed man did not delay for even half a moment, and followed the black-robed old man out of the heavenly Dao public square. As soon as the green-robed man and the black-robed old man caught up, Ningqing immediately became aware of them. He knew both of these people. The green-robed man was the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bixing, but he was even more familiar with the black-robed old man. He was the Heaven Alliance's Dao Master Mu Ziming, who had given him a bottle of essence birthing bamboo pith. The gray-robed man did not seem to be aware of it, and still continued to move forward quickly. Ningqing even suspected that once the gray-robed man moved forward at full speed, his low-grade flight-type true artifact would not be able to catch up. The four people hurried on with their journey, and walked for a full half a month. Just when Ningqing was guessing that they had already left the Tian continent's boundary, the gray-robed man's flight-type magical artifact suddenly descended at full speed, causing Ningqing to discover that the surrounding space had suddenly turned ice-cold. The place he was in was like an abyss without any earth. He did not know how deep it was, and the surroundings were completely empty. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept out, but he could only feel nothingness. Ningqing secretly cried out in his heart. He was inexplicably brought to this place by this person. He immediately tried to control his true artifact airship, but to his disappointment, his true artifact airship was not under his control at all. It was as if a powerful suction force was forcing him to dive down. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness found that Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming were also the same as him, unable to control their flight-type magical artifact. Moreover, the gray-robed man's speed had actually slowed down, which meant that the other party could control their speed. Ah! Xiao Bixing, Mu Ziming, you two ignorant fools, go in with me. The gray-robed man suddenly stopped, as he stood on top of a stone that Ningqing was unable to distinguish the color of, as he laughed. Ningqing threw out one array flag after another, which finally slowed down his airship-type magical artifact. Just as his speed slowed down, Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing, who were behind him, instantly rushed past Ningqing and entered a blue hole that even his spiritual consciousness could not sweep into. The gray-robed man stood at the entrance of the blue hole, holding his hands together as he looked at Ningqing continuously throwing out array flags, before speaking in a calm voice. You have not been sucked in yet, not because of your array formation, but because you have not advanced to the crucible transformation realm. As such, the law-binding force has not yet arrived. Don't do such meaningless things, hurry up and go in. Even if the gray-robed man did not say anything, Ningqing did not intend to do such useless things. He found that his true essence and spiritual consciousness were getting more and more uncontrollable. If it went on like this, then he would soon become a fish on the chopping block. Ningqing calmed down as his mind raced. This gray-robed man was standing at the entrance of the blue hole. Moreover, he did not move at all. Most likely, he was also afraid of this blue hole. If he was sucked into the blue hole, and this gray-robed man did not go in, it would definitely not be a good thing for him. Even if he had to go in, he would have to drag this fellow along with him. Ningqing immediately put away his flight-type magical artifact, while at the same time desperately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Sure enough, under the stimulation of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, Ningqing's falling speed suddenly came to a halt. Ningqing did not hesitate for even half a moment, as the Nirvana spear in his hands shot out. An incomparably mysterious spear intense trajectory cut through the incomparably cold space of nothingness. Suddenly, a black spear shadow appeared in the surrounding void, as this spear shadow directly stabbed towards the glabella of the gray-robed man. The gray-robed man's complexion immediately changed, as he immediately twisted his body. The gray-robed man's figure had just twisted a bit, when his body was sucked into the blue hole's powerful suction. What a treacherous beast! Ningqing heard the angry roar of the gray-robed man, while at the same time, he was also sucked into the blue hole by a powerful suction. The next moment, he also rushed into the blue hole. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness was not able to clearly see anything inside the blue-colored cave. He had just come in, when countless sounds of wind breaking could be heard brushing past him. Ningqing did not dare to neglect, as he swept out with his Nirvana spear. Bang bang bang. After a burst of dull crashing sounds, Ningqing discovered that the things attacking him were actually vines. Each of these vines was extremely thick, as if they were Dharma treasures refined from the most powerful materials. Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear swept over them, but it did not cause any damage. Chapter 432. Ning Cheng did not have the time to check on Xiao Bixing and the others, when even more rattan branches swept over them. Ning Cheng was greatly shocked in his heart, as he completely brought out the 36 cosmic true devil axes, forming a defensive axe array around him. Pa pa pa. The dense cluster of blue-colored vines slapped on top of Ning Cheng's axe shadow, issuing a continuous sound. Every time these rattan vines slapped against him, Ning Cheng could feel his true essence shaking. There was simply no need to think about it. Ning Cheng was very clear that the moment his true essence and spiritual consciousness were exhausted, he would be completely wrapped up by these vines. Ning Cheng grabbed a handful of array flags and threw them out. He wanted to use the cosmic true devil axe to block the gaps between the vines and arrange a defensive array formation. At this time, Ning Cheng simply did not have the time to observe the situation around him, as he threw out one array flag after another. A defensive array formation wall was arranged around him. It was not until the embryonic form of the defensive array formation was completed that Ning Cheng finally had the time to observe the situation around him. If he had not looked at it, Ning Cheng felt that he would have been able to escape, but when he looked at it, his heart immediately sank to the bottom. In the green cave, white skeletons were wrapped by countless vines. There was no need to guess at all to know that these skeletons had fought with these vines before they ended up in such a state. Xiao Bixing, Mu Ziming, as well as the gray-robed man, were also in the same situation as him, desperately fighting against the terrifying vines surrounding them. Senior Mu, what are these things? Why is he so difficult to deal with? When Ning Cheng discovered that Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing were also unable to completely extricate themselves from the vines, he felt incomparably shocked in his heart. Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing were both above the Crucible Transformation realm. This was a certainty. Even those above the Crucible Transformation realm were unable to break free. Even if he arranged an array formation, how long would it last? Mu Ziming gasped for breath before speaking up. Ning Cheng, if you have a way to escape from this place, then hurry up and leave. This is an underworld crow ghost rattan. It is incomparably terrifying and specializes in sucking out the spiritual soul and flesh of people. Once one was wrapped by these vines, no matter how powerful one was, their blood essence would be completely absorbed by these vines, and they would eventually die. Do you see the white bones here? These white bones are an example. I really didn't expect that the Tian continent would have such a terrible and vicious thing. If one day this kind of thing grows out of the ground, then the entire Tian continent, and even the Yixing mainland would become the foundation of the underworld crow ghost rattan. Xiao Bixing's complexion also turned pale as he spoke. The rattan vines surrounding him continued to brush down. Ning Cheng's gaze swept towards the gray-robed man. This gray-robed man was a bit better than Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming, as he seemed to have a way to resist the ghost rattan. However, regardless of whether they had a way or not, their attainments in array formations were not as strong as Ning Cheng's. Moreover, they also did not have the 36 best quality true artifact small axes. As such, they could only rely on their own powerful cultivation to resist. Senior Mu, can you recognize this scum in gray? He snatched my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword and plotted against my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng once again turned to Mu Ziming and asked. Before Mu Ziming could speak, Xiao Bixing took the initiative to reply. I felt that he was somewhat familiar before, but now I finally remember. This person's name is Jia Shursan, and his nickname is King Wuha. On top of that, he was also a Tier 9 Heavenly Pill Grandmaster. I heard that he went to the Heavens Road several hundred years ago. I didn't expect that he would still stay in the Tian continent to harm people. Wuha. Ning Cheng repeated those two words in doubt. Regarding a Tier 9 Heavenly Pill Grandmaster, although others regarded him as a legend, he did not care about it at all. As long as he wanted to, he could advance to the Tier 8 Pill Grandmaster realm at any time. If he had enough spiritual grasses, advancing to the Tier 9 Heavenly Pill Grandmaster realm would not be impossible. Mu Ziming spoke up in a deep voice. In the Yixing mainland, there is one of the most poisonous snakes called black herds. The reason why Jia Shisan's nickname is Wuha is because he is 3 times more poisonous than the most poisonous snake, blackherds. Even a crucible transformation cultivator, if poisoned by this snake's venom, would only end up dead. Several hundred years ago, this person destroyed 27 academies in the Tian continent, without sparing even the fowls and dogs. The reason for that was because he was looking for a spiritual grass. He suspected that this spiritual grass was in the hands of those 27 academies, causing him to destroy so many academies. I don't know how he found the location of the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan, and even deceived us to come here. This scum came looking for me because he knew that I had the 9-colored mirage tree and the mirage stones. However, he did not think that he would end up implicating the 2 seniors. Regardless of what Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing's intentions were, Ningqing still had a good impression of Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. I understand this person wants the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan King. Although the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan King is extremely difficult to refine, but he can use the 9-colored mirage tree to confuse the Ghost Rot Tan King and refine it. Mu Ziming spoke up in horror. The gray-robed man suddenly laughed. Since you know that I am called Jia Shisan, wait for this king to come out. Then I will definitely throw all the disciples of the Tian continent's top 10 academies here to refine my underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan King. Ningqing suddenly thought of the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword on Jia Shisan. If Jia Shisan wanted to use the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword to deal with these underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan branches, then the results would be unknown. Thinking of this, Ningqing no longer spoke any nonsense, as 12 cosmic true devil axes immediately shot towards Jia Shisan. Jia Shisan had a much easier time dealing with these underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan, compared to Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. However, when Ningqing added in the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan vines to attack Jia Shisan immediately found it difficult to deal with them. If he knew about Ningqing's thoughts, he would have definitely spat out blood and screamed in madness. Was the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword really that easy to refine? Little bastard, you're crazy. Seeing Ningqing besieged by so many underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan, yet the opposite party still dared to attack him, Jia Shisan felt incomparably angry. Although he was angry, he could not stop Ningqing's attack. If not for the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan, Ningqing's attack would have only felt like a tickle to Jia Shisan. However, with the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan's attack, Ningqing's attack was equivalent to adding frost to a snow-capped mountain. As the saying goes, a load does not add a kilogram, a boat does not add a load. It was already very hard for you to carry a load of things. If you added a kilogram on top of that load, then maybe you would end up being crushed. Ningqing's attack on Jia Shisan caused the underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan to turn even more crazy. In just a few dozen breaths, Jia Shisan found himself entangled by a Ghost Rot Tan vine. Not waiting for him to push away this Ghost Rot Tan vine, a new Ghost Rot Tan vine descended. Ningqing withdrew his cosmic true devil axes. It was not that he did not want to continue throwing stones at someone who was down, but he did not have the ability to do so. His array formation, under the countless underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan's attacks, gave out bursts of caw-caw sounds, and looked like it would soon crack. He had no choice but to withdraw his cosmic true devil axes to protect himself. Time was just like flowing water, as the years continued to pass by. In a blink of an eye, 20 years had already passed since the duel between Ningqing and Yinyang Dao sect surpassing Yinyang Dao sect in the Heavenly Dao Public Square. 20 years in the mortal world was equivalent to a cycle of vicissitudes. Even in the Tian continent, 20 years had also brought about tremendous changes. 20 years ago, after Ningqing and Rongjin's duel, he left the Heavenly Dao Public Square and disappeared from the Tian continent. After Ningqing's disappearance, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect did not change much, because the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master, Rui Baishan, suddenly returned. At the same time, the Severing Emotions Dao sect also suddenly opened up. After Rui Baishan returned, he did not take over the position of sect master. Instead, he retired and became the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Grand Elder. At the same time, he issued several statements. In addition to Ningqing remaining the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master, There was another one that stated that if the Mirage-Gazing Island did not send Liang Kursin to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect would raze the Mirage-Gazing Island to the ground. The Mirage-Gazing Island did not show any resistance, nor did they find any reason. On the third day after the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect issued the statement, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's disciple Liang Kursin was sent to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, while at the same time compensating them with a large number of spirit stones. At that time, apart from the gray-robed man who had come looking for Ningcheng, there was also the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bixing, and the Heaven Alliance's Dao Master Mu Ziming. There were also people who saw them, and as the few of them went missing, the news spread. 20 years ago, the last person Ningcheng saw was Dan, who had reached the Crucible Transformation 4th level. At the same time, he openly intercepted Jiang Jun of the Red Star Sword faction and killed him. The Red Star Sword faction did not come out to seek revenge for the matter of Tan Yun killing Jiang Jun. As such, this matter was left unsettled. After Tan Yun killed Jiang Jun, she did not immediately return to the Great Change Island, but rather arrived at the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. As for why she went to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, no one knew. Only Sang Jieju could vaguely guess a few things. Tan Yun's spiritual vein had not been completely used up. She should have sent the spiritual vein to Ning Cheng's little sister. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's main peak, Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Although Rui Baishan had already returned, he did not take back this place. This place was still Ning Cheng's immortal cave. At this time, several people were sitting in a circle in the discussion hall, with Ji Luofei sitting in the seat of honor. In addition, Ning Ruolin, Nan Yuefang, Yang Honghua, Taishu Pingho, Lianyi Zhangqian, Liang Kursin and the others were also present. Even Grey Toot Toot was huddled around Ji Luofei. Compared to before, Grey Toot Toot looked even more ordinary. These people were also the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's main peak, and also the people around Ningcheng. Only Tan Yun was not a person from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. However, Tan Yun had been living in the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect for many years, and had even brought out the spiritual vein for everyone to cultivate with. As such, no one treated her as an outsider. If not for Tan Yun bringing out the spiritual vein, everyone's cultivation speed would not have been this fast. News came from the outside, saying that Big Brother, Senior Xiao Bixing and Senior Mu Ziming besieged that gray-robed man, and then entered Heaven's Way. I don't think this statement makes any sense. If Big Brother wants to enter Heaven's Way, then he would definitely tell us. It is absolutely impossible for him to enter Heaven's Way alone. After 20 years of ups and downs, Ning Ruolin had already matured. Although her appearance had not changed, her cultivation had already reached the Soul Essence 3rd level. Ji Luofei nodded. Ruolin is right. Ningcheng would not enter Heaven's Way for no reason. Our cultivations are still too low to go out and investigate. I'll go look for Elder Taishang Rui and ask him about it. Ji Luofei's qualifications were a bit higher than Ning Ruolin's, but because she was too worried about Ningcheng, her cultivation also remained at the Soul Essence realm. In contrast, Taishu Pingho was at the late stages of Soul Essence. You don't have to worry about it, I have already calculated that Ningcheng is fine. As for whether or not he entered Heaven's Way, I am not very clear about it. The profound light chamber of commerce is willing to take out the branch of the 9-colored mirage tree that Ningcheng had left behind in the past, and Liang Kursin is also willing to take out the 9-colored mirage stones. With these things, the quota for entering Heaven's Way would greatly increase. After you cultivate to the Crucible Transformation realm, you can enter Heaven's Way with me. Rui Baishan looked a bit older compared to the past. However, in the face of Ji Luofei and Ning Ruolin, he was very patient. Although Ji Luofei and Ning Ruolin were eager to see Ningcheng, they also knew the gravity of the situation. They understood that Elder Taishang Rui was doing this for their own good. Deputy Headmaster Tan Taifei, who was sitting on the side, was just about to speak when an external affairs disciple hurried in to report. Elder Taishang, Headmaster, there is a Crucible Transformation senior outside the sect by the name of Meng Jingxiu. She said that she is a friend of Headmaster Ning. Chapter 433. Ningcheng's face was extremely pale, and he looked extremely thin. If not for his attainments in array formations advancing to rank 8, He would have long since had his essence blood sucked dry by the surrounding vines. Even so, it was still extremely difficult for him to persist. Over the past 20 years, he had almost used up all the materials he had on him to set up the array formation. He was not sure how long he could persist. 20 years ago, he was at the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm. 20 years later, he was still at the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm. Apart from the fact that his spiritual consciousness was constantly tempered and strengthened due to being trapped, his cultivation had not advanced even half a step. He had even tried using the Maximal Flame spiritual technique once. Unfortunately, although the Maximal Flame spiritual technique was extremely powerful, it could not affect the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan with the false spatial collapse. The Maximal Flame spiritual technique indeed managed to burn the surrounding vines in an instant. However, he could not rush to the entrance of the cave before he was sucked in once again. Fortunately, his 36 cosmic true devil axes and his array formation methods saved him once again, allowing him to persist until today. If not for cultivation, how many 20 years would he have in his life? If not for a cultivator, not to mention 20 long years of life, he would have to fight against these vines every day. Even if a person was trapped in a place for 20 years, it would still drive them crazy. Ning Cheng was in a difficult situation. Compared to Xiao Bixing, Mu Ziming and Jia Shisan, he was many times better off. Xiao Bixing, Mu Ziming and the other two had already been entangled by the vines more than a decade ago. Although their cultivations were above the crucible transformation realm, their situation was not as good as Ning Cheng's. If not for their cultivation, the three of them would have long since turned into skeletons under the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan. Even so, at this moment, the three of them had a skinny appearance. Jia Shisan, since we are going to die anyway, why don't you give Ningqing the method to capture the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan King with the 9-colored mirage tree? Maybe Ningqing can save our lives. The skinny Xiao Bixing could not bear it anymore. He knew that he could not persist for another 20 years. Jia Shisan opened and closed his skeleton-like mouth and snorted. You said it yourself, since we are going to die anyway, why should I let this cunning thing control my life and death? Ningqing had the 9-colored mirage tree. Once Ningqing could use the 9-colored mirage tree to affect the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan, then his life and death would truly be in Ningqing's hands. Although he spoke out with extreme resentment towards Ningqing, but in fact the two people in his heart that he hated the most were Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming. If not for these two fellows, he would not have needed to enter this place to subdue Ningqing. He could have subdued Ningqing first, and then brought him to this place as a sacrifice to the vines. It was precisely because of the appearance of these two meddlesome fellows that he had no choice but to lead Xiao Bixing and the other into the blue cave. Originally, he wanted to catch Ningqing the moment he was sucked into the blue hole, but he had never thought that Ningqing would unexpectedly have such a breathtaking spear intent. Moreover, he even had the twin heavenly cloud wings. This caused his plan to fail. Not only did he fail to capture the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan King, but he also ended up becoming food for the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan. In fact, even without Jia Shisan's words, Ningqing had already tried everything to use the 9-colored mirage tree to recover the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan King in this place. Unfortunately, on one hand, he had to refine array flags to block these vines. On the other hand, he also had to improve his array formation level. If not for his mysterious yellow formless cultivation method being incomparably heaven-defying, he would not have the leisure to think about the matter of the 9-colored mirage tree capturing the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan King. Using the 9-colored mirage tree to capture the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan King, if it was so simple, then among the four people here, Jia Shisan would not be the only one who knew about it. Ningqing, you once cast a fire attribute magical skill, which seemed to have caused the surrounding space to collapse, and then the flames completely burned the surroundings. Don't you have a strange flame? Mu Ziming did not try to persuade Jia Shisan. He was much more clear about Jia Shisan's character compared to Xiao Bixing. This person was definitely a ruthless person. He was ruthless to others and equally ruthless to himself. Asking him to hand over the method to subdue the underworld Crow Ghost Rot-Tan King, using the 9-colored mirage tree, was absolutely impossible. Ningqing sighed and said, "That's right, I do indeed have a fire seed, but this fire seed has also sprouted, and has turned into a real flame. Unfortunately, it was still in its embryonic form, and its level was too low. Even if it was the magical skill that I had cast, it required the support of my true essence and spiritual consciousness to complete. Now that my true essence is exhausted, I am unable to cast this magical skill again. I'm not asking you to continue casting this magical skill, but to directly burn these underworld crow ghost rattans with fire. These ghost rattans are definitely afraid of this strange flame. Once you can use this flame to burn them, maybe we can all get out of this predicament. Mu Ziming's voice trembled slightly. He was just guessing. He did not think that Ningcheng would really have this kind of strange flame. If not for this kind of place, he would never have asked Ningcheng about this strange flame. Possessing this kind of thing was a cultivator's biggest secret, and inquiring about this kind of thing was definitely a taboo. Now that everyone was trapped in this place, if they did not think of a way out, then only death awaited them. Ningcheng gave a bitter smile and spoke, "Senior Mu, I do have this flame. As I said a moment ago, the level of my flame is too low, and there is no way to burn these ghost rattans. If I could burn them, I would have already done it." "What kind of flame do you have?" Mu Ziming's tone did not show much disappointment. Instead, he was looking forward to it. He was tightly bound to the wall of the blue hole by the countless rattans. As such, he found it somewhat difficult to speak. His excited tone could still be expressed through this kind of strenuous effort. "It's called Star River Flame. I don't know what kind of flame it is." Ningcheng did not conceal it and honestly replied. "Star River Flame?" Mu Ziming frowned and repeated the words. He had never heard of such a flame. Was it because he was ignorant and inexperienced? Xiao Bixing suddenly spoke up from the side. "Brother Mu, I heard that you have a desiccated purple flame heart. Is it true?" Mu Ziming also gave a sigh and spoke. "That's right, I did indeed obtain a desiccated purple flame heart. In the past, I almost died in the desiccated flame realm, and had to go through many hardships. Finally, it was not in vain, and I managed to obtain this desiccated purple flame heart. Originally, I was thinking of finding a good flame in the future, so that this desiccated purple flame heart could play its role. Unfortunately, a famous flame between the heavens and the earth is as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn in my Yixing mainland. It is something that can only be found by chance and not sought." Ningcheng felt moved in his heart. He did not know much about the various kinds of strange flames between the heavens and the earth. However, the desiccated purple flame heart was like a thunderclap piercing his ears. One could say that among all the materials he had, even the cosmic true devil metal was not as good as this desiccated purple flame heart. Other than the materials for the nirvana spear that he did not know, the only thing that he could take out was the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. The desiccated purple flame heart was a top-notch treasure that could allow flames to evolve. Did Mu Ziming want to give this thing to him, so that his Star River flame could evolve? Sure enough, Ningcheng had just thought of this, when Mu Ziming spoke up. "Ningcheng, I have a desiccated purple flame heart here, which can allow any of the strange flames between the heavens and the earth to evolve. However, the worse the grade of the flame, the longer it would take. Even if it was a better flame, it would still take more than 100 years. As for the worse flames, it would even take hundreds of years. I can't hold on for such a long time, but I have a piece of soul-nourishing wood, so that I can fall in advance, and then leave behind a trace of my life essence in the soul-nourishing wood. I only have one request, that is Ningcheng, if you manage to escape, please bring this trace of my life essence to my son Mu Qian." Ningcheng spoke up with joy. "Senior can rest assured, my flame is different from ordinary flames. Maybe in just a few years, it would be able to evolve. Therefore, Senior does not need to be anxious, let me give it a try first." The reason why Ningcheng had such confidence was that he knew where his flame came from. This was a flame from the immortal mansion. How could an ordinary heaven and earth fire seed compare to it? Mu Ziming reluctantly showed a smile and spoke. "I can persist for another 10 or 20 years. Saying that, Mu Ziming threw out a jade box. He still had a few words that he did not say. For him, persisting for a day was equivalent to suffering for another day. Jia Shursen looked at the jade box on the ground, while his skeletal eyes turned back and forth. What made him feel helpless was that, at this moment, only Ning Cheng had the means to pick up the jade box on the ground with his spiritual consciousness. If one had to say which academy was the most prosperous in the Tian continent in recent years, then it would undoubtedly be the Rainbow Fall Sword sect that did not have a sect master. 15 years ago, a crucible transformation cultivator by the name of Meng Jingxiu joined the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. After that, crucible transformation cultivators emerged one after another in the academy, especially the Rainbow Fall Sword peak of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng had only been away for a short period of 30 to 40 years, when 5 crucible transformation cultivators appeared. Ning Ruolin, Ji Luofei, Taishu Pingho, Zhang Qian and Liang Kersen. Even the youngest crucible transformation cultivator in the Tian continent appeared, Taishu Pingho. Even if the qualifications of Yang Honghua, Nan Yuefang, Zhuang Jingyi, Lianyi were slightly worse, they at least had a cultivation above the soul essence realm. In contrast, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's core disciples and true inheriting disciples, such as Ke Hong Shui, Luo Zian, Sun Hanrui, Hu Hong, Liang Shi, Xian Saixue and the others, almost all of them had become crucible transformation cultivators. Even if the cultivators did not know about the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, they would still be able to understand the reason behind it. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Grand Elder Rui Baishan had opened the small spiritual domain, allowing all cultivators below the soul essence realm to enjoy the opportunity to cultivate in the small spiritual domain. Even if they exchanged points for cultivation time, it would not be as difficult as it was in the past. Of course, this was not the main reason. The most important thing was that the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak had a perception pagoda. This perception pagoda was established by the new elder of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, Meng Jingxiu. As long as one had a certain amount of qualifications, not only would one's cultivation speed be extremely fast inside this perception pagoda, it would also not have any bottlenecks. All the people who entered the perception pagoda to cultivate said that inside the perception pagoda, they could feel a new kind of spiritual qi. This spiritual qi was several times better than cultivating with spirit stones. Moreover, it allowed them to automatically comprehend some things that their masters could not teach them. The Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's discussion hall was filled with people. What was different from more than a decade ago was that half of the people here were crucible transformation experts. In addition to the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, even Ke Hong Shui, Luo Zian, Sun Hanrui, Hu Hong, Liang Shi and the others were present. Because this discussion was not a trivial matter. For Ke Hong Shui and the other true inheriting disciples, the reason why they could advance to the crucible transformation realm in just a few decades was because of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's perception pagoda. Without this perception pagoda, even if they had a few more decades, it would still be impossible for so many crucible transformation cultivators to appear among them. Thinking about the source of drinking water, since the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak was in trouble, it was only right that they took action. Chapter 434. Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu. According to our investigations and various clues, there are rumors that Sect Master has gone to Heaven's Way. Zhang Qian stood up and spoke. Not only him, but even the other disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect were looking for the whereabouts of Sect Master Ning Cheng. In addition to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, the cultivators of the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Heaven Alliance were also looking for the whereabouts of Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming. Junior Apprentice Brother Zhang Qian, can you explain it in detail? Ning Ruolin was the first to speak up. She hid the worries in her heart, but not seeing her big brother for a day, she always felt worried. Initially, her big brother did not feel at ease with her, and had passed through countless spaces to come back and take her away. Now that her big brother had gone missing, how could she not feel worried? However, she was very clear that even if she was worried, she had to improve her cultivation first. Before Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu came, although her cultivation speed was not slow, wanting to reach the crucible transformation realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even if Senior Apprentice Sister Tan Yin brought the spiritual vein, her cultivation could only reach the soul essence realm. Later, Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu brought some strange pills and some crystal stones, which allowed the cultivation of everyone in the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak to rapidly improve. This made her feel very grateful towards senior apprentice Sister Jing Xiao. In this place, if one did not have the strength, one would not be able to achieve anything. Yes, I have repeatedly investigated it. The news that came out was that Sect Master and a gray-robed man had left the Heavenly Dao public square. Then Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing chased after them. At first, Sect Master, Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming besieged the gray-robed man. However, for some unknown reason, Sect Master suddenly attacked Mu Ziming, causing Xiao Bixing to turn furious and turn to deal with Sect Master. This is absolutely impossible. Sect Master Ning and that gray-robed man could not have teamed up. That gray-robed man did not have a friendly attitude towards Sect Master. Tan Yin interrupted Zhang Qian's words. Zhang Qian sighed and spoke. I also know that it is impossible. In the past, Senior Mu Ziming had taken a liking to Sect Master Ning. Sect Master Ning is a person who values friendship. How could he possibly attack Senior Mu Ziming? What happened next? Ning Ruolin had not seen Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. What she cared about was the whereabouts of her elder brother Ning Cheng. Zhang Qian continued. According to the rumors, Sect Master sneak attacked Mu Ziming, but was chased by Xiao Bixing into the Heaven's Way. Xiao Bixing and the seriously injured Mu Ziming did not want to enter the Heaven's Way. However, the gray-robed man went all out against them, forcing them to enter the Heaven's Way. Does the rumor mean that the gray-robed man did not enter Heaven's Way? Ning Ruolin asked with a frown. Zhang Qian nodded his head. Not only did the gray-robed man not enter Heaven's Road, there were also rumors that the gray-robed man was someone else in disguise. That person's cultivation was not worse than Su Anjin's. Because he forced several opponents into Heaven's Way, that person restored his original appearance and returned to the academy. Then a few years ago, that person also entered Heaven's Road. Ning Ruolin, Ji Luofei and the others glanced at each other. As long as they were not fools, they would immediately realize that this was definitely a ploy to drive a wedge between them. Although the name of the gray-robed man was not mentioned, but everyone knew that the rumors were referring to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master Rui Baishan. Because the timing of Rui Baishan's return was just too coincidental. Ning Cheng and the others had just disappeared when Rui Baishan returned. Someone wants to drive a wedge between our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Kei Hongshui spoke up without hesitation. Sect Master Rui and Senior Mu Ziming are also good friends. As such, they would never do such a thing. Driving a wedge is definitely driving a wedge. However, Sect Master Ning being forced into Heaven's Way is most likely true. Otherwise, with the strength of my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, even if it was just the slightest clue, we would still be able to find it. Luo Xian's tone was filled with anger. The purpose behind this wedge, she could see it all too clearly. Someone wants my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's perception pagoda. Or rather, their eyes are red with envy. Ning Ruolin had been in the business world for several years. As such, she had long since seen through the filthy things involved. Regardless of whether her big brother had entered Heaven's Way or not, this rumor definitely came out for the sake of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's perception pagoda. At this moment, a fiery red flying sword fell into Ji Luofei's hands. Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's Ning Cheng was not present. As such, the person in charge here was Ning Cheng's fiancée Ji Luofei. Although Meng Jingxiu held the title of Grand Elder, she did not care about the matters of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Ji Luofei's spiritual consciousness swept through the contents of the flying sword, causing her complexion to immediately change. Red Star Sword Faction, Yin Yang Dao Sect, Heavenly Dao Academy and many other small academies have once again publicly launched a crusade against the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Elder Tantai Fei wants us to hurry to the Academy's main hall to discuss some matters. Meng Jingxiu did not speak, regardless of whether Ning Cheng went to Heaven's Way or not. She had to go to Heaven's Way because of the restrictions imposed by the Tian Continent's laws. Her cultivation had already reached a bottleneck. She possessed an immortal mansion. If she ended up trapped in the Tian Continent, it was simply unacceptable for her. Floating Snow Palace. Yin Ji, did you hear that Ning Cheng went to Heaven's Way, so you want to go to Heaven's Way? Sang Jeju looked at Yin Ji in front of her with a complicated gaze. Yanji was definitely the most talented disciple of her floating snow palace. In just a few decades after joining the floating snow palace, she had already reached the Crucible Transformation 3rd level. Even In Kongchan was only at the Crucible Transformation 2nd level. Master, the floating snow palace will always be Yanji's academy. In the future, no matter what happens to Yanji, as long as I can return to the Tian continent, I will definitely come back to the floating snow palace to visit. Yanji spoke with a bow. She did not directly answer Sang Jieju's question. She knew that she had not made much contribution to the academy before leaving the academy. Although it was wrong of her, she really could not stay. Moreover, the strength of the floating snow palace was incomparably formidable. In the Tian continent, no other academies would dare to bully them. Sang Jieju gave out a sigh. Since you must go, then I will not keep you. I just want to tell you one thing. When you went into seclusion to attack the soul sculpting realm, I met Ningcheng once, and even proposed marriage to him. Master. Yanji's eyes flashed with a fiery light. She did not think that her master would care about her so much. Knowing that she could not forget Ningcheng, she even took the initiative to help her propose marriage. At this moment, her heart was thumping wildly. She really wanted to know what Ningcheng had said. When Sang Jieju saw Yanji's expression, she knew that she had not guessed wrong at all. At that time, his reaction was very dull. He told me that he already had a wife, and asked me to take care of you a little. Then he said that it was impossible between you and him. Moreover, he said that if I had not mentioned it, he would have forgotten that you had also come to the Tian continent. Sang Jieju's tone was filled with a sigh, as if she felt that Yanji was not worth it. Yanji's face turned pale. She lowered her head and did not speak. What are your plans? Sang Jieju, on seeing Yanji's face, understood that Yanji's favorable impression of Ningcheng should have plummeted. Yanji gave Sang Jieju a deep bow and spoke. Many thanks for Master's teachings over the years. I want to go to Heaven's Way. Sang Jieju's smile suddenly froze. She did not think that Yanji would still want to go to Heaven's Way. Sect Master Tantai, I have a proposal. In the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Assembly Hall, Ning Ruolin took the initiative to speak up. Junior Apprentice Sister Ruolin, please speak. Not to mention that Ning Ruolin herself was a crucible transformation cultivator. Just the fact that she was Ningcheng's little sister was enough to earn Tantai Fei's respect. Ning Ruolin gave a slight nod to the several grand elders and spoke. This time, if we go all out, even if the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's strength is not worse than it was in the past, or even a bit stronger, it would not be able to resist the joint forces of these major academies. What I mean is that we should adopt a split attack method, divide 2 factions, and attack 1 faction. The long-eyebrowed Grand Elder Zhong Liping, who had been frowning, immediately took the initiative to speak up. Ruolin, quickly speak up. If not for Rui Baishan entering Heaven's Way, most people would not dare to come to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect and act wildly. However, now that Rui Baishan was not here, Ning Ruolin was Ningcheng's little sister, and was also a crucible transformation cultivator. Perhaps she might have a good idea. Elders, Sect Master Tantai. These factions coming to our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect is completely out of ulterior motives. Their main purpose is to obtain our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Perception Pagoda. What I mean is that we should give the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Perception Pagoda to one of the factions, and then split it up. Ning Ruolin's words immediately caused an uproar. The reason why the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had so many Sea-Opening Realm cultivators and Crucible Transformation Elders was mainly because of the Perception Pagoda. If they gave away the Perception Pagoda, it would be no different than breaking their own arms. This is absolutely not possible. My Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword has already been taken away by others. If the Perception Pagoda was also taken away, then my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect would not have any face to continue existing in the Tian continent. What's more, the Perception Pagoda is the fundamental reason why my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect could rise in such a short period of time. Sect Master Rui could go to Heaven's Way with a peace of mind, because my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect has the Perception Pagoda brought by Junior Apprentice Sister Jingxiu, which would allow us to continuously produce Crucible Transformation cultivators. Tantai Fei immediately objected. Meng Jingxiu showed a faint smile. Sect Master Tantai, I think that Ruolin is right. The perception pagoda is not a magical weapon, nor is it something extraordinary. It is just a best quality spiritual artifact. It cannot even be considered as a true artifact. The reason why the Rainbow Fall Sword sect could produce so many crucible transformation cultivators with this pagoda is that it contains a kind of cultivation crystal stone. Now that the perception pagoda's crystal stones are almost exhausted, I do not have any extra crystal stones to put into the perception pagoda. Therefore, this perception pagoda is no different from chicken ribs. Tantai Fei and the rest of the elders looked at each other in dismay. The perception pagoda had always been placed on the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, and was even under mysterious protection. They really did not know what secrets the perception pagoda held in the end. They did not expect that it would be so simple. It was no different from a spiritual gathering array. No wonder Ning Ruolin proposed this plan. Unfortunately, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would no longer be able to produce so many crucible transformation cultivators. Which faction should we give the perception pagoda to? A crucible transformation female elder spoke up. She was the oldest crucible transformation elder of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. In the past, when the Rainbow Fall Sword sect suffered a sneak attack, she had also managed to escape with serious injuries. Only after her injuries healed over the years did she return to the sect. Zhang Qian immediately spoke up. Of course, we should give it to the Heavenly Dao Academy. The Heavenly Dao Academy is the most powerful of them all. If we can drive a wedge between the Heavenly Dao Academy and the other two academies, only then would we have a chance. Ning Ruolin shook her head. No, we should give it to the Yinyang Dao Academy. I heard that my elder brother has a good relationship with the Heavenly Dao Academy's Li Lingfan. Li Lingfan's master, Utaiha, is a crucible transformation 9th level cultivator, and has great influence in the Heavenly Dao Academy. Sect Master Tantai can use this point to weaken the Heavenly Dao Academy's determination to join the fight. But the Heavenly Dao Academy's excuse is that Sect Master Ning forced Xiao Bixing into the Heaven's Way. Zhang Qian quickly spoke up. Ning Ruolin calmly spoke up. The reason why this excuse is an excuse is because they know that it is not true. Chapter 435. Outside the entrance of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, there were tens of thousands of cultivators gathered. Just like an army about to go to war, the two sides were clearly facing each other. On one side were the cultivators of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, while on the other side were the allied forces of the 3 major academies and many small academies. Sect Master Wuxia, you are the new sect master of the Heavenly Dao Academy. My Rainbow Fall Sword sect and your sect have never had any conflict, so why would your sect participate in besieging my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Your sect's actions, wouldn't it make people despise you? That's right, because of what happened in the past, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's vitality was indeed greatly damaged. However, in any case, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect is still one of the top 10 academies, and is not in existence that people can casually bully. Tantai Fei spoke with a hint of anger in his tone, apparently very dissatisfied with the Heavenly Dao Academy coming here. A middle-aged man dressed like a Confucian scholar from the Heavenly Dao Academy, who looked very gentle, after hearing these words, felt slightly embarrassed. Not waiting for him to speak, Yinyang Dao Sect's Jixio spoke up with a cold snort. Ningcheng forced the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bixing into Heaven's Way. Is that not a reason? Tantai Fei laughed. So the rumors are so credible in the eyes of Dao Friend Ji. Don't say that my sect's sect master Ning disdains this kind of shady business. Even if the rumors are true, it would only be about plotting against Elder Brother Mu Ziming. Elder Brother Mu Ziming is the Dao Master of the Heaven Alliance. How come I did not see anyone from the Heaven Alliance coming? Instead I saw some irrelevant people coming. Besides, does entering Heaven's Way lead to a dead end? My Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master Rui deliberately entered Heaven's Way a few years ago. According to what you said, is my sect's sect master courting death? Tantai Fei did not wait for Jixio to refute, and once again spoke. Sect Master Wuxia, let's not talk about the credibility of this matter. My sect's sect master Ning, and your sect's Dao friendly Lingfan are good friends. Your Heavenly Tao Academy should not have brought people to besiege my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. I am not afraid of your Heavenly Tao Academy, but I want Sect Masters Wuxia to think clearly. Once we start fighting, there would not be any leeway. Let's not even talk about whether or not your factions could completely destroy my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Even if you manage to destroy my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, in the future when my sect's Sect Master Ning and Elder Taoist Rui return, it would still be a situation where they would fight to the death. In the past, when Sect Master Ning was in the Sea Opening Realm, he dared to kill many people who attacked my sect's mountain protecting Grand Array. After all these years, Sect Master Ning should have already become a character above the Crucible Transformation realm. I don't know how many academies would be able to withstand the anger of Sect Master Ning. Sect Master Wuxia of the Natural Law School had an ugly expression on his face. He knew that the rumors outside were highly untrue. He had come to participate in this siege not because of those rumors, but because of the Perception Pagoda. In his heart, he truly felt some dread towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's fierce reputation was well known to the outside world. Even though he was only at the Sea Opening Realm, he had killed Rong Jin, who was at the Crucible Transformation 7th level, without any scruples. Once Ning Cheng stepped into the Crucible Transformation realm, there would only be a few academies that could withstand his wrath. Tantai Fei did not continue to explain to Zhuqiu Gao. Instead, he turned towards the Yinyang Dao sect and cupped his fist towards an incomparably handsome young man before speaking. Sect Master Hao, in the past our Sect Master Ning and your sect's Rong Jin had a duel. However, I think that it is not easy for your esteemed academy to cultivate a Crucible Transformation cultivator. As such, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect is willing to show some sincerity to your esteemed academy. Hearing Tantai Fei's words, the handsome young man immediately pricked up his ears. Tantai Fei showed a faint smile. My Rainbow Fall Sword sect currently has two most valuable things. One is the small spiritual domain, which is something left behind by our ancestors. We have no right to take it away. The other one is the Perception Pagoda. Hearing the words Perception Pagoda, everyone immediately turned silent. This siege of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, although it sounded fair and aboveboard, it was actually for the sake of the Perception Pagoda. Now that Tantai Fei took the initiative to mention the Perception Pagoda, it would have been strange if they did not pay attention to it. Tantai Fei spoke in accordance with Ning Rulan's intentions. The reason why so many cultivators from my Rainbow Fall Sword sect entered the Crucible Transformation realm so quickly is mainly because of the Perception Pagoda. Unfortunately, the spiritual source inside the Perception Pagoda is about to run out. Otherwise, we would have given the Perception Pagoda to the Yinyang Dao sect. Since the small spiritual domain and the Perception Pagoda cannot be given away, then... What you said sounds nice. The Perception Pagoda's spiritual source is about to run out. Haha. Are you trying to deceive a 3-year-old child? Ji Xiu laughed, interrupting Tantai Fei's deliberately hesitant words. Seeing Tantai Fei's complexion change, and wanting to speak, the young sect master of the Yinyang Dao sect waved his hand. Sect Master Tantai, we did not really come here for anything. We just heard some rumors about Sect Master Ning, and wanted to maintain the stability of the Tian continent. When I heard Sect Master Tantai's words, I felt that my Yinyang Dao sect's actions were somewhat inappropriate. If the Perception Pagoda was still the same as before, with a sufficient spiritual source, then I really would not dare to take it. But since the Perception Pagoda is about to fail, then it would be for the best. Let the Perception Pagoda, which is about to be scrapped, be a witness to peace. I will place the Perception Pagoda on the Yinyang Dao sect's main peak, as a reminder to the Yinyang Dao sect's disciples. Tantai Fei's complexion turned even uglier. From an outsider's point of view, he did not even have the opportunity to refute it. If it was him who sent out the Perception Pagoda, then wouldn't it be the same as slapping his own mouth? Does Sect Master Tantai have some difficulties? The young sect master of the Yinyang Dao sect, on seeing Tantai Fei's appearance, suddenly asked in a playful tone. Of course not. I, Tantai Fei, am also a sect master. Junior apprentice Sister Jingxiu, you say? Tantai Fei finished speaking and looked at Meng Jingxiu. Meng Jingxiu did not speak any nonsense at all. With a wave of her hand, a multi-storied pagoda flew out of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and landed on the public square between the two sides. At this moment, almost everyone's eyes were fixed on the Perception Pagoda, while countless spiritual consciousnesses swept into the Perception Pagoda. The rich spiritual chi inside caused everyone's minds to shake. It felt as if their cultivation had risen to a whole new level at this moment. I have already refined my spiritual consciousness. The Perception Pagoda is right here. Meng Jingxiu spoke in a calm tone. Good. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect really is trustworthy. I, Haoanya, will also abide by my promise and leave the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. The handsome sect master of the Yin Yang Dao sect swept out with his spiritual consciousness towards the Perception Pagoda, and immediately realized that this was the real Perception Pagoda. Although he had the cultivation of Crucible Transformation 6th level, when he felt the spiritual chi and the laws inside, he felt a slight loosening. If not for the Perception Pagoda, how could it have such an effect? While speaking, Haoanya quickly put away the Perception Pagoda. Even if it was a best quality spiritual artifact, he, a Crucible Transformation 6th level cultivator, would not need to expend much effort to put it away. Let's go. The cultivators from the Yin Yang Dao sect, under Haoanya's call, quickly withdrew from the outside of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's public square without even half a moment of hesitation. Some of the smaller factions attached to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect also began to leave. The people outside the Rainbow Fall Sword sect immediately left, causing the faces of the several Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction to turn livid. However, there was nothing they could do. The Yin Yang Dao sect had come here for the Perception Pagoda. Now that they had taken away the Perception Pagoda, how could they continue to stay here? They wanted to use the Yin Yang Dao sect to jointly destroy the Rainbow Fall Sword faction. At this moment, an incomparably fast ray of light flew over, and in just a blink of an eye, descended. Sect Master, I Li Lingfan, and Sect Master Ning are best friends. In the past, Sect Master Ning even saved my life. How can my Heavenly Dao Academy besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword sect with the other factions? A youth wearing a blue robe descended and immediately arrived in front of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Sect Master Wuxia, with an incomparably anxious tone. He had just advanced to the Crucible Transformation realm, and when he heard that the Heavenly Dao Academy wanted to besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, he immediately rushed over. Fortunately, they had not started fighting yet. Although his master Hu Taiha's cultivation was higher than the sect master, the Heavenly Dao Academy's sect master held a lot of power. As such, he could not bring out his master to suppress people. It seems that I lacked consideration in this matter. Let's go first. After the Heavenly Dao Academy's sect master Wuxia spoke this sentence, he then cupped his fists towards Tantai Fei and spoke. Sect Master Tantai, my Heavenly Dao Academy truly lacked consideration in this matter. If there is an opportunity in the future, I will definitely apologize to Sect Master Tantai. Well said, well said. Tantai Fei showed a faint smile and cupped his fists. In his heart, he truly admired Ning Ruolin. He certainly knew why Wuxia Gao wanted to retreat. It was definitely not because of his lack of consideration. Although Li Lingfan's persuasion had played a role, it was certainly not an absolute one. What really played a role was that the Yin Yang Dao sect had taken away the Perception Pagoda. With the Heavenly Dao Academy retreating, the cultivators who came to besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword sect once again left by more than half. Only the Red Star Sword faction, and some of the smaller factions remained. The Red Star Sword faction's sect master on seeing this knew that he could no longer besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. He cupped his fists and spoke. Since there is some misunderstanding in this matter, let's talk about it later. Let's go. Haha. Want to leave? Do you think my Rainbow Fall Sword sect is a place where you can come and go as you please? Tantai Fei laughed. Although his tone contained killing intent, it did not contain even half a smile. Saying that, he turned to all the cultivators from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect behind him and spoke. In the past, when the Red Star Sword faction attacked my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's mountain ceiling grand array, Sect Master Ning single-handedly killed all the invaders from the Red Star Sword faction. Now that Sect Master Ning is not here, the Red Star Sword faction came to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect to behave atrociously. Do they think that my Rainbow Fall Sword sect is easy to bully? In the past, we let Sect Master Ning deal with many factions by himself, while none of us were able to contribute. Since Sect Master Ning is not here, what should we do? Kill. Cries of kill rang out in unison. Then kill them. Today, those who dare to invade my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, do not leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Tantai Fei finished speaking and immediately brought out his weapon and rushed out. At this moment, not only Tantai Fei, but all the cultivators from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect also rushed out. For a time, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's outer perimeter was filled with killing sounds that shook the heavens, while countless lights from magical weapons lit up half the sky. Although the Red Star Sword faction had not brought out its entire sect, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had brought out its entire sect this time. In the past few years, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had gained a large number of cultivators above the Soul Essence realm. Moreover, it even had more Crucible Transformation cultivators compared to the Red Star Sword faction. Coupled with the fact that they were currently fighting on their home ground, the killing intent that Tantai Fei had mobilized was even more berserk. Once caught in the middle of this berserk killing intent, those with lower cultivations would not even have the opportunity to fight back, before they would be torn to shreds. Chapter 436. The flames wrapping around the desiccated purple flame heart emitted a light crackling sound. Then, the desiccated purple flame heart turned into nothingness and disappeared without a trace. Ningqing looked at the celestial river in his hands in surprise. He knew that the celestial river had successfully advanced. Initially, when the celestial river flame wrapped around the desiccated purple flame heart, it was still a pale yellow color. But now, the celestial river flame had turned red. Since the celestial river flame originally belonged to him, Ningqing knew how much stronger the flame had become. Haha, Senior Mu, I've succeeded. Ningqing laughed. For the past 20 years, in addition to fighting against the underworld ghost Rattan every day, the rest of his energy was used to help Xinghe advance. The speed at which the celestial river flame absorbed the desiccated purple flame heart was several times faster than ordinary flames. Coupled with Ningqing's help, the speed at which it absorbed the desiccated purple flame heart turned even faster. In just 20 years it successfully advanced. Senior Mu. Ningqing found that Mu Zimian could not even speak. 20 years ago he still looked like a bag of bones. Now he had completely turned into bones. Some dry skin had sunk into his bones, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Ningqing then looked at Jia Shisan and Xiao Bixing, and found that they were not much better off. In fact, he himself was exhausted and extremely thin, and he looked as if he could be blown away by a gust of wind. It was only because he had the protection of the array formation that prevented the underworld ghost Rattan from directly absorbing his blood essence. Moreover, he also had the Milky Way as a form of sustenance, that he had forgotten about his own situation. Ningqing did not have much time to think, and directly brought out the celestial river sword in his hand. Apart from the maximal flame divine power, he didn't have any other fire attribute cultivation technique, so he could only use flames to burn directly. A red tongue of flame spewed out, just like an erupting volcano, causing Ningqing to feel a burst of burnt smell coming from the surroundings. The endless underworld ghost vines turned into ashes under the Milky Way. Ningqing sighed and walked out of the array formation. After being trapped for nearly 40 years, he even felt his legs turning to jelly when he suddenly walked out. The burning speed of the Milky Way was incomparably fast. In just a dozen or so breaths, the densely packed nether ghost Rattans in the blue hole were completely burned away. The burnt smell filled the entire blue hole, making people want to puke. Fortunately, Ningqing had been trapped in this place for decades, and had long since become accustomed to the disgusting smell of the underworld ghost Rattan. Plop! 3 consecutive sounds of someone falling to the ground could be heard. Without the entanglement of the underworld ghost Rattan, Mu Ziming, Xiao Bixing and Jia Shisan all fell to the ground. Ningqing quickly took out 2 pills, and threw them into the mouths of Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. When he could once again feel the aura of the 2 of them, he felt relieved in his heart. Fortunately, these two fellows had managed to persevere. Be careful! Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing shouted at the same time. At this moment, an incomparably sharp murderous intent suddenly shot towards Ning Cheng's back. Jia Shisan's sneak attack, Ning Cheng instantly understood. He did not even turn his body, as he raised his hand and grabbed a huge square seal. This huge square seal rapidly shrank in Ning Cheng's hands, and finally turned into a palm-sized seal. You, Jia Shisan, who had almost turned into a skeleton, stared at Ning Cheng as if he had seen a ghost. He had never seen such a terrifying thing before. A cultivator at the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm had easily grabbed the magical weapon that he had brought out, and even directly erased the spiritual consciousness connection to his magical weapon. Just how terrifying was this? Even Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing couldn't help but look at Ning Cheng in horror. Jia Shisan had been trapped for so many years, needless to say, his strength had dropped a lot. However, even if Jia Shisan's strength had dropped, he was still a cultivator above the Crucible Transformation realm. Ning Cheng was just a trivial Sea Opening Realm cultivator, yet he could easily grab Jia Shisan's square seal. Just what kind of terrifying cultivation was this? Ning Cheng also looked at the square seal in his palm. When Jia Shisan had sneak attacked him, he had immediately noticed it. At the same time, he had also raised his hand to grab the square seal that had attacked him. He was sure that he could deal with this square seal, which was something that he had complete confidence in himself. Over the past few decades, his cultivation had not risen. However, his spiritual consciousness had skyrocketed. Moreover, because he was constantly using the array formation to deal with the underworld ghost Rot Tan, coupled with the formidable deduction and self-correction ability of his mysterious yellow formless, his usage of true essence and spiritual consciousness had reached the pinnacle. In Ning Cheng's view, his true essence had not increased by much. In fact, his true essence was constantly being consumed, but even after consuming it, he could still block the underworld ghost Rot Tan without even half a shred of weakening. From this, it could be seen that once his true essence recovered, it would definitely be a lot more powerful than before. Because of the mysterious yellow origin and the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, his 40 years were equivalent to 44,000 years for others. During these 40 years, Ning Cheng had not cultivated. However, he vaguely conformed to the highest realm of the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, not taking the initiative to cultivate, but subconsciously wanting to improve one's cultivation at all times. This was the true formless and formless realm of the mysterious yellow formless. Jia Shisan, who had just reacted, immediately felt a kind of fear rise up in his heart. He screamed wildly and jumped up to escape. However, the next moment, he felt that the space around him no longer belonged to him. He took a few steps forward, but still remained motionless in the same place. Domain! Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing screamed out in shock. Ning Cheng did not even move, yet he could prevent an expert like Jia Shisan from escaping. If this was not controlling the surrounding space, then what was it? This kind of control, in the true cultivation world, was equivalent to one's own domain. Domain. After Jia Shisan spoke a single word in a low voice, he directly fell to the ground. He was already close to death, yet he still stimulated his vitality to sneak attack Ning Cheng. The result was that he was like a lamp without oil. When he finally escaped, he saw a scene that he could not even imagine. A sea-opening realm cultivator capable of stretching out his own domain. It truly made the world go crazy. Or rather, he was scared to death by Ning Cheng. He died. I can't believe that you have a domain. Maybe he was scared to death. After Xiao Bixing swallowed a pill from Ning Cheng, he also took out a few more pills and swallowed them, allowing his essence, chi and spirit to recover by a lot. Although he still looked like a skeleton, he was slowly recovering his essence blood. Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing were in the same situation, but his cultivation was a bit higher than Xiao Bixing's. After listening to Xiao Bixing's words, he shook his head and spoke. No, Sect Master Ning's control over the surrounding space looks like a domain, but in fact it is not a domain. It is just a kind of control over the surrounding space. It is not something that can be used. It is still 108,000 miles away from a domain. Mu Ziming was very clear in his heart that even if Ning Cheng had not comprehended a domain, but with his current situation, it would only be a matter of time before he comprehended a domain. If he did not guess wrong, then the reason why Ning Cheng had this kind of comprehension was definitely related to the battle with Rong Jin. This kind of talent truly shocked Mu Ziming. Perhaps as long as he had the right guidance, he would be able to comprehend a domain. Trapped for 40 years, the three of them were on the verge of death, while Ning Cheng's cultivation was the worst. However, not only did he survive, but he also profited from the disaster. Because of this, he did not continue to use his seniority to address Ning Cheng, and directly changed the address to Sect Master Ning. Ning Cheng had never come into contact with a domain, so when he heard those words, he quickly cupped his fists and spoke. I ask Senior Mu to give me some pointers. Mu Ziming waved his hand and spoke. Don't call me senior. If we talk about real strength, then Xiao Bixing and I are not as good as you. If you think highly of me, then you can just call me Brother Mu from now on. Yes, from now on, we can treat each other as equals. Ning Cheng had saved Xiao Bixing's life, coupled with Ning Cheng's amazing strength. He had long since wanted to make friends with him. He had also heard that Ning Cheng had a good relationship with the Heavenly Dao Academy's Li Lingfan, which was something that he could definitely use to rope them in. Then I will also not be polite. I ask Brother Mu to enlighten me on what a domain is. After Ning Cheng's true essence and spiritual consciousness quickly recovered, he felt that his strength was much stronger than when he first came in, so he no longer remained polite. Mu Ziming sighed and spoke. In fact, not to mention me, even in the entire Yixing mainland, I estimate that only a few people have comprehended a domain. If Su Anjin was not injured, then perhaps she might have been able to comprehend it, but after she was injured, even if her strength recovered, she would not be able to comprehend a domain. I can't give you an explanation about domains. If you really want to know what a domain is, then you can only enter Heaven's Way. I've decided, after I go out and arrange the matters of the academy, I will enter Heaven's Way. Xiao Bixing spoke without hesitation. Mu Ziming nodded and spoke. That's right, this time I will also enter Heaven's Way. What does Sect Master Ning think about it? I still have to wait. Ning Qing knew that Ning Ruolin and Ji Luofei would not be able to advance to the Crucible Transformation realm in these years, so he must wait for the two of them to advance to the Crucible Transformation realm before entering Heaven's Way. After going out this time, he would find a way to find cultivation resources to help them. Seeing that Mu Ziming did not know anything about domains, Ning Qing felt somewhat disappointed. He could control the surrounding space, and vaguely understood it from Rong Jin. Raising his hand to pick up Jia Shisan's ring from the ground, Ning Qing once again spoke. After I burn all the underworld ghost rot tans in this place, we will then find a way to leave this place. Sect Master Ning, these underworld ghost rot tans cannot be burned out. You can see that the underworld ghost rot tans in this blue hole have all been burned out, but the fact is that these rot tan branches are afraid of your flames, and have retreated. Xiao Bixing explained. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to speak, Mu Ziming looked at the Red Star River suspended in front of Ning Cheng and asked in doubt, Sect Master Ning, I have seen a lot of flames, but I have never seen a flame like yours. The grade of your flame is not high, so how could it burn all the underworld ghost rot tans in this place? There was also a sentence that Mu Ziming did not say, that is, if Ning Cheng's flames were to advance a few levels, then it would be somewhat difficult to burn these underworld ghost rot tans. Initially, he had only taken out the desiccated purple flame heart, but he did not expect that Ning Cheng's flame would only take 20 years to absorb the desiccated purple flame heart. If he had taken out another desiccated purple flame heart, he even suspected that Ning Cheng's flame would have advanced to the next level in less than a year. The higher the grade of the flame, the faster it would be able to absorb ores. I don't know much about flames. This flame was given to me by a senior. Ning Cheng did not say that his flame came from an immortal mansion, but saying that the flame was given to him by someone was also not a lie. If not for the white-haired old woman taking him to look for the immortal mansion, he would not have been able to obtain the Star River. Mu Ziming did not continue to ask about the flame. He looked at the depths of the blue hole and spoke with incomparable worry. These underworld crow ghost rot tans are incomparably terrifying. Even if we can escape today, if these ghost rot tans enter the Tian continent in the future, It would be a disaster. What's more, if we do not destroy these ghost rattans, we will not be able to leave this place. Chapter 437. This underworld crow ghost rattan really had something to do with the mirage. Ning Cheng grabbed the array flag and immediately rushed into the hole that had just appeared. As soon as he entered, endless rattan vines flew towards him, bringing with it a burst of roaring sounds. This was definitely the ghost rattan king, causing the killing intent in Ning Cheng's heart to grow even stronger. Even if there were many rattan vines attacking him, as long as he killed the ghost rattan king, everything would disappear without a trace. After being trapped for decades, Ning Cheng had not used the remaining essence birthing bamboo pith. But at this time, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to take out a bit of the essence birthing bamboo pith and pour it into his mouth. While his true essence quickly recovered, Ning Cheng also crazily urged the Star River formation. The blue hole was like a bottomless pit. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept in, but could only see a faint blue. It was as if something was blocking his spiritual consciousness, making it impossible for him to look deeper. Later on, these rattan vines crazily attacked Ning Cheng, to the point that Ning Cheng's Star River formation did not even have the time to burn them. These ghost rattan vines only had one purpose, to block Ning Cheng and not let Ning Cheng get close to the underworld crow ghost rattan king. After an hour, Ning Cheng finally understood that for decades, they had been trapped in the outermost part of this blue hole, but the inside was unexpectedly so deep. Ning Cheng quickly took out a jade box and put away the essence of wood in his hand. He felt overjoyed in his heart. Finally, he did not come here in vain. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng refined the array flags from the 9-colored mirage stone and began to arrange the array. As a top-notch Tier 8 array formation grandmaster, and using the array flags refined from the 9-colored mirage stone, Ning Cheng arranged an illusion array in just a short time. Although the underworld crow ghost rattan king was angry, Ning Cheng also felt angry. After being sealed by this ghost rattan for decades, he had not yet shown his might, but the ghost rattan king had already shown its might. Even Ning Cheng himself did not know what to do next after arranging the illusion array. He only knew that since Jia Shursen wanted to use the 9-colored mirage tree to subdue the underworld crow ghost rattan king, it showed that this ghost rattan king should have some resistance to the illusion array. Ning Cheng felt shocked in his heart. The maximal flame spiritual technique was many times more powerful than before. Raising his hand, he grabbed the fist-sized cyan ball. Mu Ziming shook his head and spoke. No, if I have not guessed wrong, then this is the Yixing mainland's domain abyss. This domain abyss might be connected to the void. As such, the underworld crow ghost rattan growing in such a place would be very difficult to find. I don't know how Naga Shursen discovered the underworld crow ghost rattan here. At this moment, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. If this underworld crow ghost rattan king was in such a depth, then how could Jia Shursen use the 9-colored mirage tree to subdue the underworld crow ghost rattan? He didn't have any flames, so he probably wouldn't even be able to enter. The feeling of being able to control space once again welled up in his heart. Ning Cheng could even grasp each and every vine branch around him. These vine branches that were swarming towards him felt as if they were charging into the space around him. Perhaps the underworld crow ghost rattan feared the celestial river around Ning Cheng, but after Ning Cheng entered the depths of the blue hole, no rattan branches came to entangle him. Other than the sound of his footsteps, there was only the misty green light and the bone-chilling aura in the entire cave. If it really doesn't work, I'll just burn all the way in and find the underworld crow ghost rattan king and burn it. Ning Cheng had lived in the graceful star mainland for many years, and had many friends. He also did not want the underworld crow ghost rattan king to sweep over the entire graceful star mainland. As Ning Cheng quickly retreated, he took out a jade box and put away the small vine branch. Ning Cheng closed his eyes, and the scene of the celestial river crazily burning the vine branches appeared in his consciousness. Moreover, these vine branches seemed endless. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh and put away the anxiety and anger in his heart. He had already prepared himself for a long battle. He did not believe that these vine branches would not be able to burn it down. Even the thick ghost Rattan King rushing towards Ningqing paused for a moment. However, a moment later, the endless vine branches turned around and shot towards Ningqing at an even faster speed. These flames came quickly and disappeared even faster. After the rumbling sounds disappeared, all the surrounding vine branches also disappeared. The round altar and the cyan ghost Rattan King also disappeared, leaving only a fist-sized cyan thing suspended in the air. Although the maximal flame spiritual technique had destroyed everything around him, it could not extinguish this fist-sized cyan thing. After another half an hour, Ningqing finally stopped. In front of him, there were two holes juxtaposed. He did not know if he should enter the hole on the left or the hole on the right. This was definitely similar to the domain that the Mu Ziming trio had talked about before. It was also the same feeling he had when he fought against Rong Jin. However, unlike the last time, he had fallen into Rong Jin's domain. This time, the underworld crow ghost Rattan King had fallen into his domain. The blue hole was incomparably cold. Considering that Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing were too weak, Ningqing arranged a rank 8 defensive array formation to allow the two of them to recover while he continued to enter the blue hole in search of the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. Even after he left, these vine branches would once again attack Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. With the rank 8 defensive array formation, the two of them would be able to hold on for 2 or 3 days. As soon as this small vine branch fell into Ningqing's hands, Ningqing understood that it was left behind by the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. It should be a part of it that had not been destroyed by the maximal flame spiritual technique. Since even the maximal flame spiritual technique could not extinguish this thing, it definitely was not a simple thing. As an Earth Pill Grandmaster who was about to advance to rank 8, he had long heard about the essence of wood. However, he had never seen the essence of wood before, let alone such a big one. Essence was different from origin. Compared to origin, essence was nothing. However, essence had a direct effect on cultivators. The terrifying flame completely wiped away the vanishing and nothingness. Hurry up and leave this place with Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. Ningqing had just thought of this, when bursts of roaring sounds arrived, and the surrounding stone walls of the blue hole began to collapse. With the collapse of the blue hole's stone walls, he felt as if he had truly entered a space of nothingness. Thinking of this, Ningqing did not continue forward. Instead, he took out a 9-colored mirage stone and began to refine array flags. If I did not take the initiative to attack, the suction force in the cave would not have disappeared, and we would still be trapped here. It's just that our situation is slightly better. Once the underworld crow ghost Rattan King grows stronger, it would still be a dead end for us. Ningqing thought about it, and decided to stake everything on this one throw and kill the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. Did the underworld crow ghost Rattan King not completely destroy it? Ningqing felt shocked in his heart. Not caring about leaving, he stepped forward and grabbed the small grayish-black vine branch in his hand. Several vine branches tore apart Ningqing's robes in just a twinkling of an eye, while one vine branch even fell onto Ningqing's body. At this moment, the surrounding space completely disappeared. Even if the ghost Rattan King disappeared from this space, it once again came to a standstill. The celestial river vine burst out like fireworks around Ningqing. Amidst the crackling sounds, Ningqing once again smelled bursts of burnt smell. The shining green vine in the middle of the round altar seemed to have felt Ningqing's killing intent, as this green vine suddenly soared, causing its entire vine body to become dozens of times thicker, before it turned into an incomparably terrifying vine branch that shot towards Ningqing. The celestial river vine, under the urging of Ningqing and the help of true essence, instantly caused the flames to soar. Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing shook their heads at the same time. Your flames can only burn away the underworld crow ghost Rattan. This underworld crow ghost Rattan King should still be relatively weak. That's why it did not continue to entangle with you, and let you take a step back. If you were determined to deal with the underworld crow ghost Rattan King, then it would be hard to predict who would emerge as the final victor. From the looks of it, Ningqing was about to reach the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. Therefore these vines, knowing that they would soon be burned, rushed towards Ningqing one after another, completely ignoring the raging flames around them. A feeling of spatial collapse emerged, and the endless flames around them disappeared in an instant. Without the celestial river flame burning the vines seemed to be at a loss for a moment. Ningcheng felt anxious and immediately swept out with his spiritual consciousness, trying to find a way out. However, he could not find a way out. Instead, he found a small section of grayish-black vines. A more intense burnt smell erupted, and Ningcheng did not know how many vines pressed towards Ningcheng. At the same time, Ningcheng also did not know how many vines Ningcheng had burned away. At this moment, Ningcheng did not think about anything and just desperately urged the celestial river flame. At the same time, the vines also crazily rushed towards Ningcheng. Ningcheng felt his heart tremble. It was too late for him to take back his spiritual consciousness. Without even thinking about it, he immediately blasted out with the maximal flame spiritual technique. Ningcheng did not feel surprised. Instead, he felt happy. He knew that he had not come to the wrong place. This was the place where the real underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King resided. The originally ice-cold blue hole, because of Ningcheng's desperate urging of the celestial river flame, turned the surrounding ice into nothingness, and the ice-cold space turned scorching hot. After advancing to the celestial river flame, the power of the maximal flame spiritual technique had also increased. Ningcheng estimated that the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King should have turned into nothingness under the effects of the maximal flame spiritual technique. Boom! A violent tearing sound erupted in the surroundings, and everything in the center of the explosion disappeared, turning into nothingness. Once Ningcheng's anxious and angry mood converged, the situation of the vines around him became even clearer. He saw a round altar, and in the middle of the round altar, there was a green vine that shone with a green luster growing there. Countless vines that were rushing toward him had spread out from the green vine. A powerful wood-attributed aura came from the bead, and Ningcheng instantly understood what it was. It was definitely the essence of wood. Since this huge vine came crashing down, the celestial river flame could not burn this vine in the first place. Once the celestial river flame could not deal with this huge ghost Rot Tan King, the ghost Rot Tan King would pierce through his body, which would spell the end for him. Ningcheng estimated that his flesh and blood would not be enough for it to devour this thick ghost Rot Tan King. To Ningcheng's surprise, just as he finished arranging the illusion array, the two holes in front of him started to fade away, and then a third hole appeared in the middle. After a while, the holes on the left and right completely disappeared. Ningcheng frowned. If these underworld crow ghost Rot Tan Kings hid in the blue hole's wall and did not come out, he could not do anything about it. This blue hole's wall was extremely hard, and even if he broke it, he would not be able to find the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan inside. Brother Mu, didn't these ghost Rot Tan Kings already enter the Tian continent? Is this not within the Tian continent? Ningcheng asked in doubt. Perhaps the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King was truly angry, and Ningcheng wanted to destroy its foundation. Chapter 438. Ningcheng was once again able to feel the familiar nothingness around him. Ningcheng immediately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds with all his strength, as he quickly flew upwards. At this time he did not care about Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. Moreover, he did not know where these two fellows were. Half an hour later, Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness also swept out in an overwhelming manner, causing Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness to sweep out. A piece of barren rocky ground appeared under Ningcheng's feet. When Ningcheng landed, he saw Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. The two of them were a step ahead of him. Haha, I knew that Sect Master Ning would be fine. Xiao Bisheng laughed, causing his skull-like face to look very funny. He would not be able to fully recover in a short period of time. Mu Ziming also spoke up with a happy tone. The blue hole has completely collapsed. Sect Master Ning presumably has already destroyed the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Sect Master Ning has done a great deed for my Yixing mainland. Please accept this Mu Ziming's salute. Seeing Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng saluting him, Ningcheng quickly stopped them. Mu Ziming, on the other hand, spoke up in a stern tone. Sect Master Ning saved my life, so I should be grateful to you. Not to mention that you even destroyed the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. If the Ghost Rattan King is not destroyed, then this Ghost Rattan King will one day stretch out from the ground, sweeping through the entire Tian continent, and even the Yixing mainland. What elder brother Mu said is correct. We are currently in a very bad condition. As such, we must immediately rush back to the academy. Once elder brother Mu and I recover, we will definitely go to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to visit Sect Master Ning. Xiao Bixing also put away the smile on his face, as he spoke out in a similarly stern manner. Ning Qing quickly spoke up. My flame is all thanks to elder brother Mu, otherwise it would have been impossible for my flame to advance. Through the advancement of his flame, Ning Qing realized how difficult it was for his celestial river flame to advance. I'm glad to be able to give you the desiccated purple flame heart. We will meet again in the future. Mu Ziming laughed. Bringing out a flight-type weapon, he quickly disappeared along with Xiao Bixing without a trace. Ning Qing cleaned himself up and changed into a new set of clothes, only to find that the place he had just come out from had disappeared for no reason. Ning Qing was secretly surprised in his heart. He did not understand what was going on. Fortunately, he came out early. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to find the exit. At the edge of a swamp, for cultivators were besieging a severely wounded Class 7 black gold spider. The value of the black gold spider was extremely high. It was several times more valuable than the average level 7 demonic beast. Moreover, the golden silk inside the black gold spider's body could be refined into a very good defensive armor. These 4 cultivators were all in the soul essence realm, and in the face of the things that were about to fall into their hands, they also gave it their all. The black gold spider seemed to know that its little life was about to end. It madly spat out a series of black blade lights. At the same time, strands of spider silk fluttered around it. One of the male cultivators did not pay attention, and one of the long legs of the black gold spider stabbed into his chest. The male cultivator screamed and flew out. The male cultivator, who had been severely injured by the black gold spider, seemed to know that his injuries were very serious. After swallowing a pill, he immediately sat down and started to heal himself. At the same time that the black gold spider stabbed the male cultivator, a black-robed female cultivator pierced the black gold spider's head with her twin blades. The black gold spider screamed out and collapsed to the ground. The other 2 cultivators, one male and one female, blasted their weapons at the black gold spider's body. After seriously injuring one of them, the black gold spider was finally killed. We finally killed it. Yu Jing, you and Wan Cheng can decompose the black gold spider. I will go and see how Liang Shi's injuries are. Who are you? The black-robed female cultivator, who killed the black gold spider, had just finished her words when she found that there was another person beside them. It was a young male cultivator with bright eyes, but his face looked very pale and his hair was slightly messy. I'm looking for Meng Yujing. The young male cultivator pointed to a delicate-looking soul essence female cultivator. It's you. Meng Yujing called out in shock. Apparently, she knew this pale-faced young male cultivator. The young male cultivator spoke in a very indifferent tone. You come with me. Okay. Meng Yujing did not refute and directly nodded in agreement. She then turned to the other 3 people and spoke. I have some things to take care of, you can go back first. Don't worry about me for the time being. Yujing, you still have a share of this black gold spider. The male cultivator called Wanqing quickly spoke up. Meng Yujing immediately replied. I will leave it with you for now. I will come back to get it when I have time. With that, Meng Yujing calmly looked at the young male cultivator and spoke. Let's go. The black-robed female cultivator and Wanqing looked at the departing airship-type artifact and did not dare to speak. They could see that the young male cultivator, who took away Meng Yujing, was not someone they could contend against. I know who he is. Wanqing suddenly called out in shock. Who is it? He is the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master Ning Qing. In the past, after he killed Rong Jin in the Heavenly Dao Public Square's sect surpassing censure, he disappeared. Because of this matter, several major academies even besieged the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Everyone said that he went to Heaven's Way. I did not expect to see Sect Master Ning here today. Wanqing spoke in shock. The black-robed female cultivator also remembered and spoke. That's right, it should be him. He looks a lot thinner than before, and his complexion does not look very good. If Yu Jing went with him, would there be any problems? That look on his face gave the impression that he was overly fond of women. Wan Qing quickly shook his head and spoke. No, Sect Master Ning has a very good reputation. In the past, he had saved more than 100 core disciples and true inheriting disciples of various major academies in a mystic realm. However, he was a vengeful person. The Yin Yang Dao sect had taken away the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's perception pagoda in the past. Now that the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Sect Master Ning had suddenly returned, it would definitely be a good show to watch. As for Meng Yujing, I don't think there will be a problem. She and Sect Master Ning are both from the Lu continent. Since Sect Master Ning is looking for her, maybe it's to invite Yujing to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. We don't have to worry about it. Wan Cheng was not wrong. This pale-faced young male cultivator was indeed Ning Cheng. He had been trapped by the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan at the edge of the void domain for decades. Although his face was a bit pale, it was still many times better than Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing. Ning Cheng's airship came to a stop in the air. Meng Yujing stood in front of Ning Cheng and spoke in a neither overbearing nor servile manner. I wonder why Sect Master Ning is looking for me? She knew that Ning Cheng had followed her in the Hua continent. Moreover, she also knew that Ning Cheng did not have a good impression of her. As for the reason, she could not figure it out. In the past, when she knew that Ning Cheng had followed her and knew about her privacy, she had even thought of killing Ning Cheng in her heart. Take me to Kongcheng. Ning Cheng's impression of Meng Yujing was indeed very poor. This woman, apart from being beautiful, was nothing in Ning Cheng's eyes. Meng Yujing froze for a moment before she asked in a trembling voice, Sect Master Ning, can you see that Kongcheng placed a spiritual consciousness restriction on my body? Others never knew that she was under Kongcheng's coercion. Yet Ning Cheng immediately asked her about Kongcheng's whereabouts. It was obvious that Ning Cheng was aware of the spiritual consciousness restriction that Kongcheng placed on her body. That's right. I can indeed feel Kongcheng's spiritual consciousness restriction on your body. Therefore, I want to find him to settle accounts. Ning Cheng nodded and spoke in a calm voice. Meng Yujing's heart suddenly felt like it was in a storm. Kongcheng was a cultivator at the early stages of the sea-opening realm. Even a crucible transformation cultivator would not be able to see through the spiritual consciousness restriction that Kongcheng placed on her, with just a sweep. Ning Cheng had only swept her body, yet he was able to see Kongcheng's spiritual consciousness tag. Just how terrifying was his cultivation? Just how terrifying was his spiritual consciousness? I really did not expect that this fellow would turn out to be a sea-opening realm cultivator. Ning Cheng sneered. After this, Kongcheng arrived at the Tian continent. His cultivation speed truly turned out to be very fast. Meng Yujing's heart calmed down a bit. She was very clear that although Kongcheng's qualifications were far inferior to hers, he had found a good academy. Moreover, he also had his own secrets, allowing him to make much more progress in his cultivation compared to her. She could only struggle in the Tian continent, while also being threatened by Kongcheng. Meng Yujing, who originally wanted to ask Ning Cheng to help her remove the spiritual consciousness restriction, immediately withdrew the words that were on the tip of her mouth. Ning Cheng's journey from the Hua continent to the Lu continent, and then to the Tian continent, she had heard too much about it. Although she had not had any contact with Ning Cheng, she knew what kind of person Ning Cheng was. If she did not ask Ning Cheng for help, then maybe Ning Cheng would take the initiative to help her. If she asked Ning Cheng for help, then maybe he would even despise her. Thinking until here, Meng Yujing calmed down and gave a bow to Ning Cheng. Yes, I know where Kongcheng is, and I am willing to take Sect Master Ning to find Kongcheng. Ning Cheng had always been prejudiced against Meng Yujing, but Meng Yujing's beauty was not inferior in any way because of Ning Cheng's prejudices. As Meng Yujing bowed, her snow-white chest and a deep ravine immediately entered Ning Cheng's eyes. Heaven pity him, Ning Cheng really did not want to peep at Meng Yujing's things. He even suspected that Meng Yujing had done it deliberately. Otherwise, how could a soul essence cultivator not know that such an action would expose her? Ning Cheng had been trapped by the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan for a long time. Although it was good for his cultivation to rise, But unfortunately he was not a person who cultivated the monk's cultivation method. Meng Yujing's exposure immediately reminded him of Shi Qianghua, and then he immediately thought of Ji Luofei, who was still waiting for him at the academy. This time he would have to go back and marry Ji Luofei. As Ningqing thought of this, his slightly pale face suddenly turned a bit rosy. Feeling the change in Ningqing's mood, Meng Yujing's tense mood in front of Ningqing suddenly relaxed a bit. She knew why Ningqing had this kind of change. It was because he saw her exposed. In fact, she really did not do it intentionally. However, she did not feel much discomfort in her heart. As a rogue cultivator, this kind of thing was nothing to her. This also showed that although Ningqing was powerful, but just like her, he was just a person made of flesh and blood. I know that Sect Master Ning has some opinions about me, but Sect Master Ning and I are both from the Hua continent. For Sect Master Ning to be able to make a name for himself in the Tian continent, we cultivators from the Lu continent and the Hua continent can only feel proud. Meng Yujing hesitated for a moment, but still took the initiative to speak a few words to Ningqing. She felt that there was not much resentment between her and Ningqing. It was only because Ningqing had seen her outside with other male cultivators, which led to this kind of situation. Ningqing restored his calm, took out 2 chairs, and after sitting down he also beckoned Meng Yujing to sit down, and spoke in a light voice. On the way to find Kongqing, I also want to ask you a question. Many years ago, I knew a person by the name of Ko Hong. Ningqing's words had not yet finished, when Meng Yujing suddenly stood up. Her pretty face was even paler than Ningqing's. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.